What 24%? Your child, you better call the pussy. Your child, you better call the pussy. 24%. What 24%? Your child, you better call the pussy. Your child, you better call the pussy.
One of the more shocking things that I have experienced over the course of those years are the number of young boys and girls who have openly declared their apostasy to me.
24%. What 24%? Your child, you better call the pussy. Your child, you better call the pussy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream today. As you can see, we have David and IP with us with both of their funny, creative names, The Uncorrupted Injil and Zoot Chieftain. Welcome, everybody. Myself and Daughter of Christ here. And today we're going to have a sort of a class on zootology. Zootology. So, say hi, and then we'll pass it to them.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our guests. This is the first time they're joining us, and what better subject to have them introduce themselves onto our channel than the zootology that's been preached by Islam, I guess, and has been discovered recently and into the public scene. So I'm going to give it over to our guests.
Yeah. So either one of you guys wants to kind of go first, whatever you guys want to say to kind of introduce us into the topic, and then we'll pass it to the other one and go from there.
There is no finer topic. There is no finer topic.
Could you change your name to Zoot Opposer? Not the leader of the Zoot? I just a little creeped out here.
Yeah, IP, I don't know where you've been, which studies you've been reading, but Zoot has taken on more metaphorical meaning for people who are just wreaking havoc on Islam, analogous to the way the Zoot wreaked havoc on Mohammed, but in a completely different way. You know what I mean?
Powerful stuff there. Gross, but powerful.
So you guys have both done videos on this recently, and that's kind of sparked the interest or the inspiration behind this live stream today. And we're gonna get into that research, but
not the way the Al Zoot got into.
Not the way the Al Zoot got into Muhammad. Yeah. So
hey, 1 second. You know what's creepy? I've only heard that song, your intro song, like 1,000 times, and then the clip of Asadullah Ali saying one of the most concerning things is boys and girls, and even though I've heard that a million times, after reading all this crap about what's been going on with kids in the Muslim world for all these centuries, even though I've heard that 1,000 times, I was still oh, he's about to talk about doing something with kids, pervert. Because I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah, it just comes to you now. Okay, so people might not know. I'm going to put this up on the screen right here, and let's see how you guys look. Okay, you guys are okay. Okay, now I'm going to put it on the screen. So check this out. Here's a hadith. Maybe people don't know anything about Zoot. Okay, maybe they don't know. So there's a hadith in Abu Bukhari, narrated by Ibn Abbas.
Yeah, it says, the Prophet said, I saw Moses, Jesus, and Abraham on the night of my ascension to the heavens. Jesus was of red complexion, curly hair, and broad chest. Moses was of brown complexion, straight hair, and tall, as if he were from the people of Al Zoot.
So this guy obsessed with the Zoot. He just brings him up randomly.
No one knows the Zoot better than Muhammad. Well, maybe we could say the Zoot know no one better than they knew Muhammad.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know Zoot, they are apparently people of brown complexion, straight hair, tall stature, and according to Muhammad, that Moses looked like the people of Zoot. And then we get another instance in the hadith before we get into the key story surrounding this, and we have Ali actually burned some of the people of Zoot because some of the people of Zoot worshipped idols. So These are all authentic hadiths, and just give us a little bit of introduction for who these people of Zoot are. So they're
real people.
real people. They're brown complexion, straight hair, tall stature, and some of them worshipped idols.
Or because you know how they read stuff into our sources. Did the Al Zoot come by bragging about what they did to Muhammad, and Ali had to burn them?
Oh,
Powerful.
that could be it. That could be it.
We're just using Muslim principles of interpreting scripture when they try to read Muhammad in like Psalm 72. Well, it could mean that there's a mere possibility, therefore it does. That's what really happened. So therefore, just using their own principles. And when they stop doing that to the Bible, maybe we'll stop there.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna get into the hadith now, guys. We're gonna get into the hadith itself. And so we titled our slide on this Mo's Crazy Nights. And
Yo, real quick, if you actually go to that website you got this screenshot from, they changed it. They added an extra section shortly after we started like popularizing this. So
Really?
like now it's longer. Yeah, it's longer. If you actually go back to the Sunnah 2 website, they added a further section to make it more sound like the Night of the Jinn.
oh, interesting. So we were just using this website because they had like it was a good translation of it, but we'll definitely check that out. So it looks like they're editing this to
No, they didn't edit. Well, they kind of did a little bit, but they added like another paragraph below, so makes you think it's more about the jinn.
No, and that stuff is in the Hadith. I think they just included more because everyone is freaking out, and you need the extra stuff to try and throw you off. Muhammad getting ridden all night long.
Yeah. So does anyone want to have the? Can you guys see this? Okay, from your end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Does anyone
I've had to read this so many times because I get guests on like actual legit scholars, and then people in my live chat keep going, "Tell them about the Al Zoot," and so we have to get their reaction to this. So like I've had to like tell this to like David Falk and Stephen Boyce and Joel Correcco, and they're all like, "What's going on?" Like so.
You don't say,
Yeah.
hey, wait a minute. Isn't that interesting that you can popularize a story and then it becomes like a private language of, among the in-group, but then they bring it up in other contexts, allowing endless opportunities to share the story.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yep.
It's a cool world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So you want to do honors?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've read it too many times now, thanks to my lovely super chat followers. Abdullah related, the messenger of Allah sent for me, so we set out until I reached such and such a place, and he traced a line for me and told me, stay between the two edges of this. Don't go outside of it. If you go outside of it, it's over for you, Abdullah said. And so I stayed there. And the messenger of Allah went off a stone's throw away, or a little further. Then he, the narrator, mentioned a group of male members, i.e. men, who looked like the Zoot people. As Afan said, Allah willing, with no clothes on. But I did not see their genitals, tall and scrawny. And they came and started to ride Yarkabun, the messenger of Allah. And the prophet of Allah began to recite to them. And they started to move closer and lean around me and get in my way. And I became intensely terrified of them. So I sat down. When the morning light broke, they began to go away. Then the messenger of Allah came back exhausted and in pain, or practically in pain for how they had ridden him. He said, indeed, I am exhausted. And the messenger of Allah put his head in my lap, and the scrawny ones came with tall white garments on. But the messenger of Allah had fallen asleep, and I became more intensely and terrified of them than I was the first time. I would be too.
All right. So, David, why don't you give us the David Wood narration of what happened?
Well, I don't know if you want to go into the reasons yet, but
no, not yet, not the
okay.
reasons yet.
Yeah,
but
so just based on the story, Muhammad takes his companion Abdullah ibn Masud, and for anyone who doesn't know, Muhammad said, if you want to learn the Quran from anyone, learn it from Abdullah ibn Masud. He was Muhammad's top guy. Why? Because he was there on the night of Al Zoot. And so Muhammad takes his buddy, Abdullah ibn Masud, out to the desert. He draws a line, actually a circle in the sand there, and says, you need to stay inside that circle. That's the consent circle, the Diddy circle. You can do not cross this line. If you do, you're finished. You're finished, because you won't be able to handle what happens to you. No one can survive that except Muhammad. So then he says Muhammad went about a stone's throw away, and so Muhammad walks away, and then Abdullah's pretty confused. He didn't know what's going on, but he sees these dark men of al-Zoot, and they're sitting out there butt naked, and Muhammad assumes the position, and then they ride him all night long. And at some point they start crowding around Abdullah, so he sits down, apparently to guard the body part that they were really after. So he guarded his behind, and he was behind the Diddy line, so he had he was not consenting to anything. So anyway, they just keep riding Muhammad all night long, and then Muhammad comes back all sore and in pain because of what they did to him, riding him all night long. And then he basically collapses and passes out, falls asleep on Abdullah's lap, which is what you see this pattern in the Muslim sources, like after a evening with Diha al-Kalbi, whom he would tell his companions was actually the angel Gabriel behind the curtain with him. He would then go to sleep on Diha's lap after a night of activities. So anyway, that's the basic story.
Okay.
Now, what Muslims say about this is they say it's like the night of the Jinn. Like Muhammad is going out there, and that's why he's reciting to them. And Yarkabun, ride, is just slang language, is what I remember hear them saying. It's not like it means crowding, but it's being used as a slang term for crowding, is what they tend to use. And I find it's an interesting correlation between the Dihal al-Kalbi stories, that they keep explaining away these encounters as supernatural experiences. Like with Diha, it was really an angel. With the al-Zoot, it was really the Jinn out there, guys. Like, it's weird, like, correlation there. And if you have to, like,
undesigned coincidences is what you're thinking of. Undesigned coincidences.
Well, I mean, like, just think about this from, like, Occam's razor. If you have to explain this away as a Muslim, like, you think this actually happened, if you have to explain this away by appealing to the supernatural, you're violating Occam's razor. Because if you think this happened and you have to posit supernatural beings to explain this, you're already violating Occam's razor, and I'm not even going to take you seriously. It's just kind of a funny thing they have to do, because they don't want to take the natural reading, because that would sound really weird and creepy. So it's got to be supernatural, which again is that's not parsimonious.
Yeah, and the big issue here is, I mean, think about what they're saying. Okay, you got a story about Muhammad out in the desert with the men of al-Zoot, and they're riding him all night long while his buddy watches from behind the Diddy line. His buddy tries to cover up his rear end when they approach him, and then Muhammad returns in pain and passes out. And what's this about? Oh, it's about Jinn. No, it's about angels. It's about this or that. And they expect us to go along with their interpretation when these are the guys who read the story of Isaac and Rebecca and say, yes, she's 3 years old. Like, there's no way she's 3. There is no way. Read this text. There is no way she's 3. Oh, but we need to say she's 3 because you guys keep making fun of Muhammad for having sex with a 9-year-old. Yeah, because we have over 200 sources on Muhammad having sex with a 9-year-old. That's why we say it. We're not making stuff up. And they're like, but to defend him, we have to make stuff up about prophets in the Bible. So we're going to call Abraham a pedophile and Isaac a pedophile and Moses a pedophile. We're going to call them all pedophiles because we respect prophets more than you guys. No, you guys respect one prophet. But anyway,
by the way, we're going to see that about Rebecca being lied about in just a few moments, actually. So keep that in mind, everybody. Keep that in mind.
Yep. Shocker. So anyway, these are the guys who they'll go to our sources and go with the most ridiculous, insane interpretations that aren't even interpretations. They're just flat out lies. They'll just flat out lie. So let's say you can calculate the age of Rebecca. It's a lie. It's a lie. And they'll do the same thing. Oh, according to the Catholic Encyclopedia, Mary was 12. No, she wasn't. It's not what the Catholic Encyclopedia says. The Catholic Encyclopedia says we have no idea. So you're dealing with compulsive liars who always, whenever they're reading our scriptures, want to go with the most insane, ridiculous interpretation. Then they'll go, when we read their sources and we say, hey, this sounds really bad. This sounds messed up. They go, no. You have to give this the most charitable interpretation you can. And it's like, wait, why would we do that, you hypocrites?
Yeah.
The most significant thing we can do is like I want to say hold you to your own standard, but this isn't right. We're not lying when we say this sounds really creepy. We're not lying like they do about Isaac and Rebecca. We're not lying like they do about Mary, and so we're not lying. We're just not giving you the benefit of the doubt. Why? You don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. Your prophet definitely doesn't. So if it sounds creepy, we're just going to say this sounds really, really creepy.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're gonna get into that, guys, and you guys are gonna hear Muslims lying about that very thing David just mentioned, the age of Rebecca. But what do you want to say?
Well, how did this whole David and I just did videos on this, on the whole issues of pederasty. I was really like just puzzled by this story because I'm like I don't think this happened. I agree with Joshua a little. Most of the hadith are just made up. So I'm sitting here puzzling, going like, why would they make up a story like this? And then it dawned on me, wait a minute, I was debating Daniel Haqiqatjou a couple of years ago, and I came across this disgusting research on pederasty about them thinking. Do you want me to get into that now or later?
They literally said we'd get into that later, not the way Mohammed got into.
Because that very point's going to come up, so I want, it'll make sense. So real quickly though, you just want to discuss because you mentioned the word there that's used, and some Muslims say that it can be interpreted in different ways. We just wanted to show a couple of references in the. Actually, how am I going to do this when you guys are? There we go.
There you go.
So check it out, and then we want to get into the grading of the hadith, and then so Daughter of Christ is with us right now, guys. She's gonna leave the room, and then we're gonna give an 18+ warning, and then I'm
still gonna watch from upstairs.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Okay, I won't.
And so I just wanted to give everyone a warning about that. So because it's gonna get really nasty, because we're gonna get into the Islamic sources. So let's just talk a little bit about this word and what this word means.
Okay, if anyone says it means crowding in Arabic, I would challenge them to bring me the source or the idiom where it says yarkabun. To ride means crowd. They will find it very difficult. But we have from the Quran that ride actually means exactly what it is. For example, animals. Here the same word, tarkabun, which is you ride. It's talking about ships, as in riding a ship, like a boat, or animals, when you mount them. So it means mount or ride. And again, in Surah 40, verse 79, it says, litarkabu, so that you may ride. And it's talking about horses, mules, and donkeys to ride. Surah 16, verse 8, the same word.
All right. Now, just real quick, we'll get into the grading, and then we will give our 18+ warning. So let's go. Actually, the grading is
here we've got
right here. Sorry.
So here we've got the screenshot from the PDF of Musnad al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and we've got gradings of lots of scholars who actually said it was good. For example, here in the underlined version, it says the remainder of the men, meaning the men who narrated it, are trustworthy. They are the men of the two sheikhs, meaning Sheikh Bukhari and Muslim, except for one person called Abi Tamima. And Al-Bukhari recorded it in his book At-Tarikh al-Saghir, volume 1, page 203. And the Tirmidhi said that the hadith is Hasan Gharib, which means a good grading. Hasan Gharib, that word Gharib means strange, but it actually means stronger than just if it was Hasan.
As you guys can see on Islam Web right here, when a Tirmidhi says Hasan Gharib, that's actually stronger than just a hadith that's Hasan by itself. So go back to that slide. So a Tirmidhi, really important, guys, because Muslims are going to come to you, and there are a bunch of scholars who say that it's weak, but we're pointing out the ones who say that it's actually authentic.
So you're going to have to do a pick and choose then as to which one. But there are enough that say it's authentic, like Tirmidhi and Bukhari cited it. And even they say about the men of a Tirmidhi, they say are trustworthy, men of the Sahih, meaning men who narrate authentic hadiths. But they say, except for one man called Ja'far ibn Maymun, Ahmad weakened Ja'far, as well as Ibn Ma'in, and Nisa'i and Uqayli, they all weakened this man Ja'far. But the same man, Ibn Ma'in, says in another place that Ja'far is valid. So this is the schizophrenia. We think in one place he says this man is good, and another place he says is weak, and this man is the only exception in the chain. But Tirmidhi took the whole thing and said it was Hasan Gharib, which means good. And again, Al-Haythami here mentioned it in Majma'. He said that Tirmidhi narrated this hadith concisely, and also Ahmad narrated it, of course, because this is from Musnad Imam Ahmad here. And his men are the men of the Sahih, the authentic chain hadith, except this one man called Amr al-Bikali. So they do this except for one man. But of course, that man, Amr al-Bikali, is mentioned by someone called Al-Ajli, and he said he's trustworthy. So the exceptions, the men that are exceptions, are actually cited as trustworthy by other people. So you never get a straight answer.
This is the religion of accept, and this is the very trustworthy science of hadith that Yasser Qadi was talking about. One scholar saying this guy's not trustworthy, another one saying, oh, actually he is. This one saying he's not, this one saying he is. So you have to do scholar for $1, pick and choose. But at the end of the day, you do have Muslim scholars who say this is authentic, and this is not the only one.
Yeah. So and sometimes you get the same person saying in one place this man is good, and another place he isn't.
And we just got one more source that we want to show, and then we're going to get into the video. This one we didn't translate this one because there's only one little sentence we wanted to show, and it's the very bottom here where it says that the isnad is sahih, it's authentic, and this is the whole story of a Zoot right here.
Yep.
So we even highlighted the parts.
So here's the word Zoot, here is the word yarkabun, which means to ride, and this is where Muhammad is in pain from the riding, and this is the sahih isnad. So
Ahmed Shakar is the hadith scholar, and he said that it's a sahih, an authentic isnad chain. So there we go. Just wanted to get into that real quick, and now we're gonna send Daughter of Christ out of the room, and we're gonna get into some topics, guys. So this is gonna be I want to give a little bit of an 18+ warning. If you guys are watching with children, which we know some of you guys do, just beware that this topic, not coming from us, you're not gonna hear bad language from us, but the content in itself is just the Islamic content, the theories that we're going to be giving, maybe not appropriate for children, but the reason why we're doing this is so that you guys can see possible theories as to where this story came from, and use this story with your Muslim friends and talk about it with them. So anything you guys want to say before we get into this video, guys? This video clip I have of Daniel Haqiqatjou and Mohammed Hijab.
Yeah, quit talking about getting into things when we're talking about al-Zoot. It's disturbing people's minds.
Yeah, what's wrong with me? Okay. Oh, I saw we got some super chats. I'm still new at the super chats, guys, so bear with me. But I'll read a bunch of them right now, and then we'll get into the video, because that's how David does it. He does them like in chunks and stuff. So we'll do that.
Yeah, always imitate me in every way.
The Joey says, good morning from Australia. Hey, good morning. Thank you for the super chat. God bless you. And John Wilson, Giant DOC, just to help you along a little with your excellent work. May God continue to bless you both. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, John. God bless you. Silicate David, before you talk about this, you need to correct yourself on Mike Winger being a nerd. Oh, David. Got some beef.
Yes, I will correct myself. I've called Mike Winger a nerd for many, many years. I just want to point out now that is a massive understatement. I apologize.
Nice. Thank you for the super chat. Timothy, Muhammad survived because he had practice early on.
Actually, he probably did.
Yeah, there is. You could make a case for that.
No, there's a case to be made, and we'll be exploring that, and not the way we're exploring, but we'll be exploring that topic in future live streams.
Yeah, you can definitely. Yeah.
Never ends.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat. And Focus says, "Yay, David and IP, superb collab." Yeah, thank you guys for being with us today, and thanks for the super chat. All right, one more, guys, and then we'll get into the video. Jesus Saves says, great to hear from such great minds. Oh, hi, David, Wood, and IP.
Well, hello there.
All right, guys, this is the video you didn't know you didn't want to see, but you're going to see it here. So this is from the famous clip where, the 85% of Dawa guys practice like polygamy.
Yep.
Well, that was like a 5-hour live stream. And 5-hour live stream.
Wow.
And so
that went almost as long as the night of al-Zoot.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of stuff in there that didn't go as viral as that clip, But Mohammed Hijab is going to talk about another clip that went viral, and he wants to set the record straight on this clip, and it's going to lead into our topic some way, somehow. So
Gross.
Speaking of viral, you have any idea what kind of diseases can spread back then through that sort of activity? Anyway, that's a different topic. We'd have to look it up. What was spreading back then, especially around the men of all Zoot people. Anyway.
Yeah. Different kind of viral. But that was definitely viral in Muhammad's circles. So, guys, whenever you guys want to pause it, just say something, and I'll pause it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's get into it.
And there's these videos on the internet.
They're good.
All chopped up.
Sounds a little quiet.
It's shameless of me speaking about, like, for example, the age of consent and the age of Aisha and stuff. There's one that's going around with me speaking corner, and I was like, there's nothing in the Quran that says that you can't have sex with a child. But then I say, but it's a hadith or something like that, something so obvious that it's been cut. And they're using the first part. They now become shameless, and they started to lie. So to be honest,
you guys know what clip he's talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I put that clip out. I mean, how many times has everyone heard me say, okay, his position is not, hijab is not saying that it's okay to bang a 5-year-old. He's just saying that it would be halal if you just went with the Quran. That's why you need to go outside the Quran. But that's exactly what he says. That's exactly what he's saying in the video.
Oh, yeah.
So, so hijab's position is, if you just go with the Quran, you will conclude that it's perfectly halal, it's perfectly acceptable, it's perfectly permissible for a grown man to have sex with a 5-year-old girl. You have to go outside the Quran, and you go to this little hadith where Muhammad says, don't harm. And they'll say, and then hijab says, well, since it says don't harm, and it would be harmful to a 5-year-old to have sex with her, therefore you shouldn't have sex with a 5-year-old. And of course, he's sitting right beside a guy who believes it's okay to have sex with 5-year-olds, right? And so if you were to look at what they're saying in light of Muslim commentators, when they talk about not harming a girl, or when they apply this, they're talking about like not. Well, it's good. It's good. Gave the warning. They're talking about not ripping her open and making the 2 holes into 1 hole. That they're talking about that, or they're talking about if she's too small, so that if she's so small that you'll actually crush her having sex. They're not talking about, you might, it might be extremely painful to her since she's so small and stuff. They're not talking about that kind of thing. So, it's totally gross. Just to be clear, the Quran claims to be the perfect speech of Allah. Allah had all eternity to get his speech exactly the way he wanted it. And hijab says, if you just go with that, you'll conclude that you can have sex with a 5-year-old. That's why you need to go to something from centuries later and go to a hadith that says something about harm, and then apply that, and then you can rethink what Allah says. Now, a major problem for what he's saying right here is, as you guys know, in Surah, you have Surah 929, fight those who not believe, and then you have the next verse gives the justification. Jews call Ezra the son of Allah, and Christians call Jesus the son of Allah, and that's why there's justification for fighting us. Then the next verse says Jews and Christians take our rabbis and priests as lords. And someone during Muhammad's time objected and said, what do you mean they take them as lords? They don't worship them. Muhammad replied, when Allah says something is halal and men say it's haram and you listen to them, or when Allah says something is haram and you listen to men tell you it's halal, you're worshiping the men. But I mean, think about that. What is hijab's entire position here? He's saying, yes, if you just go with Allah, what Allah says, you'll conclude that it's halal to have sex with a 5-year-old. But you don't listen to that. Go to a hadith guy who says, go to a hadith where a man says, no, it's haram. And by the way, the hadith doesn't even say it's haram. It just says something about harm, vague about harm. And you can apply that here. It's insane for these guys to think that that they can just apply this whenever it's convenient. Because I mean, how many people are these guys harming? How many hotel wives is hijab harming and ruining their lives and so on? So they're just grasping at something, not the way Al Zoot were grasping at something, but they're just grasping at something to try and come up with some sort of rule why you should wait some amount of time so that you're not stuck with the Quran. But notice, according to Muhammad, if you look at the Quran and say, yep, it's halal according to the Quran, which hijab says repeatedly, It's halal according to the Quran. No, we're going to listen to this hadith from a human being. We're going to listen to him say it's not halal, it's haram. Okay, well, that is Muhammad's definition of worshiping someone. So hijab, can't say the same about Daniel Haqiqatjou, but hijab is definitely 100% a mushrik according to Allah and Muhammad.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, I'm sure many of you guys have heard David talking about this clip before, and he always gives a disclaimer. He says he's talking to a Quran-only Muslim, and no one will be confused when they hear David saying what's going to happen, and they hear the clip. So Muhammad Hijab is actually misrepresenting. He's lying about this. But anyway, he starts with that, and then continues on here.
Oh, hang on 1 second. I just wanted to point out, we did an entire live stream where we went through the entire video.
Oh, okay.
And guys, the entire video is way worse than the clip. He's all, oh no, the clip's misrepresented. The full discussion is way worse because he also goes into, if you just go with the Quran, then you conclude that you could chop your wives' heads off if they don't know.
Wow.
You need to go outside the Quran to find out that would be frowned upon and so on. But I mean, think about this. You would conclude that it's halal according to the Quran. So you go outside of the Quran and listen to a man tell you, no, you shouldn't do that. And so this is like, this guy's in Shirk Central, man.
Shirk Central. All right. You good, IP? We're ready to start?
Yeah. I just want to say, if Muhammad didn't cause any harm to Aisha, we have to remember that means his male member would have been about what, like 2 inches? Because, that age, that's about as big as deep as a girl would be. So if Muhammad didn't cause any harm to Aisha, it means he was really, really small, guys. I hope Muslims are willing to accept that, to assure that Aisha was not harmed.
Yeah, I'm just saying this just to remind myself for future reference, because I was planning on putting together in a video basically Sheikh Yasser Qadi saying that the Hadith methodology can't stand up to academic scrutiny. You just have to accept it basically by blind faith as a Muslim. It cannot be defended academically. And then Shabir Ali saying, wow, isn't it great that we can now treat the Hadith like garbage, because then we could just focus on defending the Quran, and we're just stuck with the Quran, and we don't need to go outside the Quran for this. And then combine that with Muhammad Hijab saying, well, if you just go with the Quran, you conclude you can slash your wives' throats and stuff for disobeying you, and you can have sex with 5-year-olds. And so you need to go outside of the Quran to these sources that are basically garbage. But what's Hijab saying? He's saying that Muhammad waited until he wouldn't harm Aisha, and that was at 9 years old. The Hadith don't say he was waiting to not harm her. This is Hijab sort of putting together his fantasies about what's going on there. But according to Hijab's interpretation, Muhammad is waiting so that he wouldn't harm her. And as IP's pointed out, and as Andrew Wilson pointed out, the length of the vaginal canal of a 9-year-old girl is about 2 inches long. So if Muhammad had sex with her and did not harm her, that would mean he wouldn't harm his member, wouldn't harm a girl with a 2-inch vaginal canal, which would make, Andrew Wilson estimated, Muhammad must have had 1.8 inches. And so you put all that together, this actually ties in, because if Muhammad kind of didn't feel like much of a man, that may be why he wanted to go elsewhere for a source of manliness, namely the men of Al-Zoot, as we'll be seeing shortly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No pun intended with the shortly part.
All right. Wow. We got about 700 people here right now, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys could just take a second to hit the like button, get us on the algorithm. That way YouTube can share to the world what is Zootology, which we're learning today with David Wood and Michael Jones of Inspiring Philosophy. So guys, let's get back into this video, and whenever you guys want to pause, just feel free to shout out Zoot or whatever you want to say, and I'll pause.
Right wing, the far right people, I've noticed that it's a mistake to defend yourself too much against them, and you should get them on the back foot. Like today, I was quite surprised because one of them on Twitter was like,
Ibn Masud was on his back foot or his backside. Sorry, go ahead.
And this is the age that they want to ask. The question they want to ask us is like, what was the age of Aisha? So I just thought, okay, this guy's probably a Christian. Let me go for it. I said she was 3 times the age of Rebecca, according to Genesis.
For the love of
according
God.
to Genesis.
You hear it?
So there you go,
You
guys.
just said
David
liar.
David
What?
was hinting at this earlier, guys. And so yeah, feel free, guys, unload on him. Go ahead. I mean, not in the Zoot
Yeah,
sense.
not in the
Go.
Zoot sense, but yeah. So look at this. I mean, this is insane in so many ways. Again, we have over 200 sources saying that Aisha was 9 years old when Muhammad had sex with her. Hijab, you just said according to Genesis. Show me Hijab. Show me in Genesis that Rebecca was 3 years old. I will bow down and recite the Shahada. You lying scumbag. What's amazing here is that they're both laughing. Look at this. we just said Isaac, prophet of God, and we respect prophets more than they do. We just said he's a pedophile. And that Abraham was the one who sent his servant to go get this 3-year-old girl. So his dad, Abraham, was a pedophile too. We respect prophets more than you guys. We lie about prophets. You tell the truth about our prophet. We'll lie about someone that we're supposed to regard as a prophet and about Abraham himself. And we'll just make stuff up about them all being pedophiles. And we'll say this.
Yeah. You can you put my screen up.
How much can they like expose themselves? Not like, you know, Muhammad exposed himself to al-Zoot, but I mean, like how much more obvious can they make it that this Islam is not about respecting? It's about respecting one prophet and throwing literally everyone else, including God, under the bus for this one guy that you worship.
What these two liars, let me say that again. What Daniel, Haqiqatjou, and Muhammad Hijab, pathological liars, are doing is they're actually getting this stuff from the Talmud, not from Genesis, because a lot of the rabbis had very creative ways of reading the Torah and the Tanakh at large, and they would read things into the text constantly that modern scholars just sort of laugh at. They're not really, in my view, the best sources to go to for interpreting Genesis or much of the Tanakh. I mean, typically when you read about that modern scholars, you'll see references to the Talmud as like an afterthought. Oh yeah, by the way, this is what this guy said. But anyway, this is more likely what the text is saying. I'll see Dale Allison do that. I'll see, you know, N.T. Wright do that kind of stuff. It's like what they're doing is what they said is that what you get in the Talmud is that you see at the end of Genesis 3, Sarah lived 127 years and then she died. Okay, and then what the rabbis would have said is that happened the same year as this whole incident of the sacrifice of Isaac. Why? Because Sarah saw it happening up on the Mount Moriah, and she was so distressed, it caused her to die. Now, that is nowhere in the text. That is made up. This is what the rabbis did, though. Very creative in the way they'd read this. Then what they would do is, because they wanted to calculate everything, they would reread this section here as if this was the year that Rebecca was born. And then you go through all the years, and you either land on Rebecca being 3 or 14. The rabbis actually disagreed. Rashi said 3, but later rabbis said, no, it's probably she was 14. Rashi made a miscalculation. So what they would say, if you read this, now after these things, it was told to Abraham, behold, Milcah has borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz, his firstborn. Booz, his brother. Kumel, the father of Aram. Chesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, Bethuel, and then it says Bethuel fathered Rebecca, and the rabbis would say that she was born that year. Now, you don't see that anywhere in the text.
Doesn't say it.
Yeah, so Daniel, Muhammad Hijab, pathological liars, don't bother to check. They just assume that these rabbis are right, and then the rabbis like Rashi actually calculated all that right. They didn't, because later rabbis came and said Rashi was wrong in his calculations. She would have actually been 14 according to that calculation, which I don't even agree with. I think that is even wrong, but that's what's going on in the Talmudic sources in the later rabbis talking about this stuff. So you can just see where the lie comes from. You can see it is not in the text. You can see what was being made up by the rabbis, and you can see how Muslims just lie about how this theory came about, and they know nothing of the history, but they're so desperate to defend the most obvious false prophet in history and his obvious immoral behavior, they go to such lengths to attack the prophets, as David said, they claim to respect and really don't.
Yeah. So guys, just you need to learn this passage. It's the end of Genesis 22. Anytime they try and calculate, right? And they'll put like little mathematical formulas on there. They'll say, according to this passage, this, according to this passage, this, according to this passage. And then they'll say, and according to Genesis 22, Rebecca was born right when Sarah died. And the basis for that, when they'll cite end of Genesis 22, or they'll just say Genesis 22. According to that, this is when it happened. And you look at Genesis 22, where this is supposedly the evidence that this happened. And you look at it and it says, again, look at what it says. Now, after these things, so sometime after these things, it was told to Abraham, behold, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. So Abraham finally gets news from home. He was a long way from home. He had packed his bags and headed out with Lot long time ago and went to the land. And so he finally hears news from back home, and it says, behold, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz his firstborn, Buz his brother, Kemuel the father of Aram, Kesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. It's listing his relatives that he didn't know about. And it also puts in parentheses, because it's about to go into the story, Bethuel fathered Rebekah. So they look at, and it says here, these 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. Moreover, his concubine, whose name was Reumah, bore Teba, Garhem, Tehash, and Maacah. And so Muslims read this and they say, it mentions the birth of Rebekah at the end of this passage. Therefore, it's saying she was born right now.
You see?
It mentions the birth of all these people right then. Does that mean they're all born right now? They're all born. These 8 were born as they were octuplets or something like that.
This is the proof.
It's insane.
Well, not only that, it says Bethuel fathered Rebekah.
Yeah,
so, like, was they both
children?
Yeah, you're ending up with this weird Russian nesting doll situation where, like, this guy's born, but you open him up and there's a little one, in there as well. And so they're both kind of born at the same time. So anyway, the point is, this is an insane interpretation of the text. We should not be bound by any sort of insane interpretation where we say, yep, all these people were born right there. But guess what? You had a rabbi that did that. And then we're supposed to, because it ends up in the Talmud, even though it contradicts what other rabbis said, and other rabbis are going, what are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. We're supposed to go along with it. These are the same guy. I mean, think about this. Daniel Haqiqatjou standing there. It was Daniel Haqiqatjou, the guy who, did you know the Talmud says that Jesus is pouring human excrement? How can you trust the Jews? They're evil Jews. And then when he wants to defend pedophilia, suddenly, hey, just go with this interpretation in the Talmud. They both love it. Guys, how are there people, even Muslims, who are not absolutely repulsed by these they're bragging. Hey guys, if you tell the truth about Muhammad, we'll lie about prophets. We'll lie about prophets that we're supposed to believe in. We have no integrity. We will flat out make stuff up about Isaac and Abraham being pedophiles.
Yeah.
And that's fine in our religion. And guys, show me someone calling these guys out. Show me their fans calling them out. How dare you guys say that about a prophet? How dare you guys say that Isaac had sex with a 3-year-old? How dare you? They don't care. They don't care even slightly. What does that tell you about the entire religion?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we got a super chat from Avery. God Logic Apologetics. Love the panel. God bless David and IP. Oh, hi, John and DRC. What's up, Avery?
Oh,
yeah.
Avery's supposed to debate Daniel next week on the Islamic dilemma.
Oh,
I
nice.
saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going to try to do it. I talked to him about it already. It's going to be fun. We're going to try to do a debate review as well. And then I'll be out there with him in Vegas in a week as well.
Awesome.
Hey, and by the way, I posted a little discussion where me, Avery, and IP walked up to a Dawa booth in New Jersey. And catch that, especially the beginning. We eventually get into the Islamic dilemma and stuff, but just catch the beginning, because Avery gives a kind of master class on starting a discussion, because we walk up to the booth and I say, hey, I heard this is a place of Dawa instruction. I was hoping we could get some lessons or something like that. I said something stupid like that. And they start saying, we don't want debates, no debates. and then so I said, but we got these materials here. Can we ask questions? They said, no questions. And guess what? If that had just been me there would have been no discussion. I would have said, okay, they don't want to, no questions and no debate. Okay, they're not interested in having a discussion, and I would have left. Not Avery. Avery just so you guys have any tracks on Jesus? And they hand him one, and then he goes, oh, see, so Jesus is a Muslim according to you guys? And he's asking them these like very simple questions, which are leading to more difficult questions. And by the end, they were all crumbling from the Islamic dilemma. So yeah, good stuff.
Check it out, guys. Tiger just posted the link. Check that out, guys. Yeah, it was a great discussion. All right, you guys ready to get back into the video?
Yep.
All right.
And that approach, I felt like, okay, putting them on the back foot, letting them go and defend themselves and go and find the biblical verses is probably a better.
What biblical verses? Hey, Hijab, what biblical verse? Hijab, I already told you. Give me a biblical verse that
Liar.
says Rebecca was 3 when Isaac had sex with her. I will recite the Shahada. I mean, God, for all you Muslims out there, like how are you not saying? For some reason, you believe these guys, no matter how much they lie. These are the biggest, most compulsive liars on the planet. Daniel's fellow Muslims even call him the biggest liar they've ever encountered. They said you're worse than the Christians we hate, right? And yet here they are, just flat out lying. And Hijab is saying, hey, when they tell the truth about our prophet, we'll lie, and they can't stop us. So then they're going to have to go through the verses. What verse? There are no verses that say what you're saying, Hijab. And you know it because you've been exposed on this. Daniel's been exposed on this. And you guys keep saying it anyway because you're liars who spread nonsense about true prophets to shield your fake prophet from criticism. And this tells us what you see here and how these guys are popular for what they're doing. This tells you everything you need to know about Islam and what it's really for.
Alhamdulillah.
That's right.
Station to be in than having to always defend yourself and defend. We don't need to do that all the time.
Yeah.
So, because whatever you say, they're
lie.
not going to be happy with you. So you might as well get them to defend themselves. I think that's the strongest thing to
Against
do
lies.
with those guys.
He just said the strongest approach is lying. He just said that.
That's literally what he just said, guys.
The strongest approach with them is to lie when they speak the truth and ask you serious questions about your prophet, because you're saying everyone should believe this prophet. And they say, okay, what about this? How do you explain this? The best approach is to lie about prophets. The best approach. This is one of the heroes of Dawa saying that the best approach for Muslims when you're asked factual questions about Muhammad directly from your sources, the best approach for Muslims is to lie about true prophets and the scriptures that his God and prophet affirm as the word of Allah. That's the best approach. That again, this should tell you everything you need to know about Dawa, what its purpose is, and about the religion. It's demonic.
Absolutely. All right.
With secular people as well, because what I always point out in these types of debates is there's like a difference between the age of consent and the age of marriage. And you have these secular liberal people, like let's just say they're atheists. They want the age of marriage to go up. They're not even satisfied with like 18 years old. Like there are examples like, an 18-year-old has gotten married to a 20-year-old and they call it pedophilia. That 20-year-old has groomed the 18-year-old to marry her. So they want to keep raising the age of marriage, but they want to decrease the age of consent when it's legal
Can I
to
address that?
Yeah.
He's oversimplifying this. Yeah, I totally agree. I would love for the age of consent to be higher. I think it should be 18. I think the age of marriage should be 18. I don't agree with a lot of secular people that want to lower that. But this is not a good comparison, because you could just point out marriage is a much bigger commitment than just a one-off having sex. This is in the secular mindset. I'm not in mine. I'm trying to explain what they actually argue, because Daniel Haqiqatjou is immune to steel manning. He's a liar. In that, what they argue is that, well, no, consent is you're just two 14-year-olds having sex is not the same as them getting married, because now you have to live with someone. There's a bigger possibility that you're going to produce children. 14-year-olds should not be having children. They're not ready to actually raise them. The science shows that. So I could see, if I was an atheist, where the secularists are coming from, because you just look at sex as just like a physical act, versus marriage, which is a much bigger commitment, which involves a lot more than just a one-off time. So I'm not saying I agree with the secularists, because I don't want the Muslims will, take me out of context for sure if they got their hands on this. But let's be honest. Let's actually try to steelman what they're arguing. Marriage and consent are two different things.
That's right.
And I would say, what in the blue hell is your point, right? Hey, there are people who are saying that the age of marriage should be raised from 18 to 20. Yeah, there are people who say all kinds of things. Who cares? Your prophet has the stamp of approval of your God and says that it's perfectly acceptable to have sex with a 9-year-old girl, as you both agree. According to the Quran, you could have sex with a 5-year-old. Both of you agree on that. Hijab says, and matter of fact, they both agree. Hijab says that puberty is not required. And then they both seem to think that you should basically be not harming her in some serious way and so on. But if you could have sex with her and somehow know that you're not harming her in some serious way, then why wouldn't you go ahead and have sex with a 5-year-old? It's what Daniel said. Wouldn't matter. Didn't he say? When he got to 4, he said, "Oh, but the parents wouldn't allow it," or something like that. But he agreed.
Yeah.
That a 5-year-old, totally fine. So, I mean, just think about the level of deflection here. Hey, you guys think it's okay to have sex with a 5-year-old? Again, with hijab, it's as long as you're not seriously harming her or something like that, because you got the harm principle. According to the Quran, though, puberty is not required, according to Mohammed hijab. Why? Because that's what the Quran says. And that's how all the commentators interpreted it. So these are two guys who are defending sex with kids, and hijab is defending sex with prepubescent girls. And the Quran and the Hadith allow sex with prepubescent girls. That's extremely harmful. We have tons of data. IP can take people through it if they're not sure about that. Tons of data showing that's really, really harmful. It's way more dangerous if the girl gets pregnant. It's way more dangerous for the girl. It's way more dangerous for the baby. Everything is massively more dangerous if a young girl gets pregnant than if she waits a while. And then you say, okay, when is safety sort of maximized and stuff? Well, that's when you start getting to when she's fully grown. And that's the idea behind saying 18 or something like that. And what's the response? Well, there are people who say wait till 20 and not wait till 18. So you see, there's no basis for criticizing sex with a prepubescent girl or a 9-year-old or something. What? This is how they think. I mean, this is insane. These are champions of Dawa here. Like the dumbest reasoning imaginable, like the stupidest counter arguments. And they both defend sex with little girls. And they both will lie instantly and think that the best approach for responding to questions about where all this is leading in Islam is to lie about prophets. And these are the heroes. So, guys, don't tell us about your religion. All you Muslims out there, when these guys become the champions of your religion, do not tell us about your religion. This is disgusting.
Yeah, and talk about Daniel not knowing how to steel man, and his always never fails to straw man. I've never heard anybody complain about an 18 and 20-year-old getting married.
Yeah.
Never ever heard that.
There's Romeo and Juliet laws. So like if an 18-year-old is dating a 16-year-old, that's legal in I'm pretty sure most places around the world, because they're close enough in age, even though one is technically a minor and one is an adult. Romeo and Juliet laws. So like there was a guy at my church, and he was dating a 17-year-old, even though he was I think 22. No one cared. They were close enough in age. We were yeah, and they're not sleeping together. They waited till marriage. Everyone was fine with it because it's a Romeo and Juliet case.
Yeah, and just to be clear here, because Daniel never seems to understand this, dude. Saying 17 or 18 or 19, what's the best ideal age for marriage? You got some wiggle room there, because that's when people are kind of grown. To take disagreements about 17, 18, 19, 20, what's appropriate, to take disagreements about that as therefore it's okay to have sex with a 5-year-old.
Right.
You're a lunatic, man. You're a straight lunatic. And if it's your religion that causes you to think this way, so much for your religion, buddy.
Oh, man. All right, so do you guys have any idea how this is going to lead into our topic, or can you guys see?
I don't want to know. Let's just see it.
All right. Let's...
Well, Daniel will find a way.
Yeah.
Be sexually active as a child. So even 7 years old, even 6 years old, they have no problem with that. Why? As long as it's only a 1 or 2 year age gap.
They have no problem with that.
With 6-year-olds.
People don't have problem with people having sex with 6 and 7 year olds, guys.
As long as they're not married, that's what he's saying. As long as they're not married, and no one has a problem with it.
Yeah. So guys, you hearing this? People in general, secularists, don't have a problem with grown men having sex with 6 and 7 year olds, because Daniel Haqiqatjou just said it. Book of Trust Me, Bro. That's his study.
Yep.
You have no problem.
Sorry. Yeah, guys, anyway, does everyone understand why even his fellow Muslims call him the biggest liar they've ever seen in their lives?
Yeah, exactly.
Being sexually active. That's why they have sex education for kindergartners. That's why that's the whole.
I've never heard of that. For kindergartners. Have you guys ever? I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of it. I mean, my daughter has gone to a secular school her whole life. She didn't. She's 10. She still hasn't had sex education. So what is he talking about?
Yeah, my kid, my youngest is 7. He's never had any sort of sex education. When I was in school, it was, I think, 10th grade is when we had sex education. It was 10th grade. That's when we had sex education. Keep in mind, but in Daniel's mind, he can find anything anywhere. If he finds a kindergarten where they're taught, he'll just blanket statement. That's how they are. That's what's going on. Kindergartners are being taught all this stuff. That's just how he thinks. He will look for any example of anything happening anywhere in the world. And guess what? It could be like at a kindergarten in Denmark, and he will just blanket statement. This is what's going on in kindergartens around the world. I agree with this. I agree with Fareed and Jake and so on. This is the biggest liar I've ever encountered in my life. And I've said repeatedly, the Dawa guys in general are the biggest liars I've ever encountered. And I've been to prison, right? I've been to prison. I've never seen liars who lie just with as little concern of any sort of consequences, because even in prison, there are all sorts of liars, all sorts of con men and stuff like that. You generally have to be careful about lying because you don't want to get caught. These guys, they know their followers don't care. They can sit there and lie. We'll lie about Isaac. We'll lie about Abraham. We'll lie about Jesus. We'll lie about Mary. They don't care even slightly. And so, but Daniel is like, he's a cut above the rest. He's a bigger liar than even like Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawa.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say bigger liar than even Sheikh Uthman. And
wow,
Sheikh Uthman's probably number 2 in more ways than one.
All right.
Even 7 years old, even 6 years old, they have no problem with that. Why? As long as it's like only a 1 or 2 year age gap, they have no problem with 6-year-olds being sexually active. That's why they have sex
They have no problem.
Complete
they have
liar.
no problem.
Complete liar.
IP, do you know anyone? Do you know anyone who has no problem with an 8-year-old having sex with a 6-year-old?
I know of no one who would have no problem.
I know of no one. I've never heard that from anyone. He's just saying they're fine with it, as if this is general rules of society.
I've never even heard an atheist be like, "Yeah, that's great." Like, never.
Yeah. So, guys, these are the champions of the religion. These are the champions of the religion. These are the guys out there defending Islam. And have you heard one sentence from this guy that is not a lie?
No.
Ever. All he does is lie, and they love him for it. Religion of lies.
Yeah.
Let me know when you want me to share that information, Jay.
Which topic?
On the children that are sexually active.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to wrap up on this one. Let me just see. Let's see.
Okay.
For kindergartners. That's why that's the whole left wing
Has there been
controversy.
any?
Okay. Yeah. This is a good time to do it. It's because Mohammed Hijab is going to make the transfer. So
not the way the Al Zoot made the transfer.
Yeah, not the not the way the Al Zoot made the transfer.
So yeah, according to the National Survey of Family Growth, about 1% of 12-year-old females have had sex. And this proportion is in contrast.
Daniel would read that. Daniel would read that and he'd say, "Do you know that 100% of 2-year-olds have had sex in Western countries?"
Yeah. Wow.
Well, no. So it increases, but by 15 years old, it's only 19%, and by 16, it's only 32%. So those, I would like to see that at 0. Still, I think it's bad that it's that high, but still, it's not even 50%. Okay. Now, notice what they also say. In general, these proportions are slightly higher among males and females. Moreover, more than half of females who have had sex by age 10 or 11 say the sex was not voluntary. So these are girls that are victims. These poor girls here. This is not them. Oh, we just can't help ourselves. Like, these are being taken advantage of by predators. Yeah, so like, exactly. And then this is a source Daniel himself has cited. Daniel himself has cited this. Okay. Cumulative probability of first sexual intercourse among 15 to 44. Okay. 10 and under. Okay. What do you have there? 0.2. 0.16. 0.14. Okay. These are very, very low numbers. At 14%, it's 20%. I don't know what to tell. So that's the age of monarchy on the side. So this is when they've had monarchy. This is the age. So if you don't understand, so over on the side here, age of monarchy, and the rows, the columns at the top, that's when it says age at first sexual intercourse. It happens at 14. If they've reached monarchy at 10 or under, 20%. If they haven't reached menarche until the age of 14, it's 5%. So menarche is a big determiner for girls wanting to eventually have intercourse with someone. I mean, for obvious reasons, the urges start to show up. But as you can see here, that's a determining factor. And the later menarche is, the less likely they are to do it. This is a source Daniel himself has cited.
Wow.
And yeah, just I mean, keep in mind what Daniel was just saying was people have no problem with 6-year-olds having sex. It's crazy because he's the only one that I'm familiar with.
Oh,
Him and his fellow Dawa guys are the only people I know of who think it's fine to have sex with a 6-year-old. And he's saying other people think it's fine. And IP pulls up the study. 1% of people, 12 years old, 1% of 12-year-olds have had sex at some point. Many of those were victims of some sort of abuse. You're talking 12. You're talking twice. 6 years old. And what's Daniel just saying? Yep. These guys dare to criticize us for thinking it's okay to have sex with a 9-year-old. They all think it's fine to have sex with a 6-year-old. Compulsive liar. Muslims, do not tell us about your religion when these are your champions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We got a batch of super chats real quick because Mohammed Hijab is about to transition. So
I bet.
This is kind of, David, can you read this one for us? That's a little kind of weird for
If
me.
Muhammad was not small, it contradicts the claim he did not hurt Aisha. If he was that small, it would contradict the hadith saying he pleased many women, right? Well, you're trying to establish an Islamic dilemma here, but when did it say he pleased many women?
Oh,
That he had sex. He said he went and had sexual relations with all his wives in one night. That does not mean they were all satisfied or something like that.
No, they put up with it. Yeah.
In fact, Muhammad. But yeah, it is a dilemma. So either he harmed Aisha, or he was really, really, really tiny down there. But that would actually tie into things like in Surah 33, where Muslims are told no one is allowed to marry Muhammad's wives after him.
Yep.
Well, why? I mean, he was about to die. His wives were going to live, some of them for many decades later. Why do they have to spend the rest of their lives alone and childless? It kind of made sense if he didn't want to be compared with any other men later on. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So some of this stuff can tie together.
Huh. All right. Well, thanks for the super chat, by the way. The Lion, thanks for the super chat. Charger says, even if they were wrong, like, if they weren't wrong, probably wrong.
Even if Hijab and Daniel weren't wrong, even if they were correct, which is true. In other words, if we were to read the Bible right now and it said, and Isaac had sex with Rebekah when she was 3, then we wouldn't go, oh my goodness, I guess it's okay to bang a 3-year-old.
Right.
We would still think that's wrong, and we would condemn Isaac for it, and we would say, oh gosh, I'm glad he's not our pattern of conduct, because look at the kind of crazy stuff they did back then. So best case scenario, if they could actually defend anything they're saying, they can't because they're compulsive liars. But if they could, it would have nothing to do. Isaac is not the pattern of conduct for Christians in the Bible. Muhammad is the pattern of conduct for Muslims in the Quran. So if Muhammad had sex with a prepubescent little girl, that's relevant. And so this would be irrelevant. Their response would be irrelevant in multiple ways. One, even if they were correct, nothing to do with it. It's not a good response. And in fact, it's based on a lie. So it's really, really not a good response, but that's Dawa for you.
Wow.
Yep.
Thank you, Charger, for the super chat. Augustus says, what's the difference between Christ and Muhammad? Christ is risen indeed, while Muhammad is ridden indeed. Nice.
I just screenshotted that. That's going to be on my Twitter later on. And Augustus Kaiser, just so you know, I steal stuff and don't give credit. But to be fair, I allow people to steal stuff from me without giving credit. So it all works itself out in the end. Not Muhammad's end, the with Zoot, but yeah, so I'll say this on Twitter, and then everyone's going to say, wow, David, you're so funny, when I stole it from you. So feel free to say, hey, he stole that from me. And I'll pretend, I'll pretend I don't notice.
Yeah, thank you, Augustus, for the super chat and for the idea for David. Loaves of Bread says, Aisha was talking about Muslim bedroom satisfaction. Yeah, yeah, there's going to be some talk about not exactly Aisha, but we're going to get into something related to that. But thank you for the super chat. A staff for a log. How dare you question Pikachu? Yeah. Yeah, Pikachu he's a liar. Even acknowledged by Muslims, he's their biggest liar in the game right now. So, I'd be curious to see like who rises up in the future to be a bigger liar than Daniel. I mean, that's gonna be interesting to see.
That's gonna be hard. Hard title to take.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Although, I mean, a related question. So, no one's going to be able to be a bigger liar than Daniel. You kind of reach like maximum liar status. But it is interesting, like who's going to be the next Dawa guys? Because the previous batch, I've been saying for years, these guys have career spans of like 4 to 6 years or something like that, because they're all massively dysfunctional and they all rely on deception, and eventually people catch on to what their methods are and then they start crumbling. And so these guys are on their way out. Daniel's on his way out. Hijab's on his way out. Ali Dawa's on his way out. These guys are going to start fading and going down in flames. And so who's the next generation? Guess what? It's not going to be like Dean Responds or Orthodox Lips, or these guys like don't have what it takes to be the champion. So job opening, ladies and gentlemen, there's some job openings for any, who are they going to be left with? Lily J now? Lily J. Unless you guys want Lily J to be the champion of Dawa, you better come up with that plan.
David, I just said this video at AP, but there was a guy who does Viking history. He just posted a video saying saying that the Muslims tried to pay him to rewrite Viking history, that they were all Muslims, and he had to say no. You guys should totally stream on that.
And I think we're talking about that on Thaddeus's channel tomorrow. But it's actually
nice.
It's interesting because the way they framed it, we want people to feel good about Muslim interactions with people in back in the day, and no, it's not. They have a principle in Islam that if they control an area at any point, then it's always theirs. And so if they think, no, there were Viking Muslims, then hey, that's all our land. And so we should be taking it over. We have an obligation from Allah to reclaim that land. That's why they want to spread the lie. But this offering them money and stuff. I mean, just think about this. So we know that people with fat pockets are bribing people to say things like just make stuff up to support our religion. I know two Arab pastors from two completely different countries who both told me the same thing, that they were offered massive piles of money by wealthy people from the Middle East to convert to Islam. And then they said you had to write a book and say it was because of examining all the evidence for the Quran and how the Bible was wrong. And one was offered, I think, $2 million. The other said he was told name his price if he does it.
Wow.
And so we know this stuff goes on. And so when you see a Lily J come along and you're like, she can't possibly be this. I mean, we know she's dumb, but she can't be that dumb. There's obvious. She knows she's being deceptive with like, oh, ChatGPT. We've proven repeatedly that she's telling it what answers to give, because we'll ask the same questions and don't get those answers. So she knows she's lying. She knows she's deceiving people and does it anyway. And you think this isn't someone who is a serious believer in these arguments. What's going on? We know for a fact people are bribing people to say stuff.
Yeah. Wasn't there the case with a bunch of scientists in Saudi Arabia that happened too?
I mean, if you're talking about the scientific miracle study, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, there was a Wall Street Journal article, I think almost like 20 years ago or something. Wall Street Journal article examined stuff that had happened in the 80s. These it was partly funded by Osama bin Laden before 9/11 and all that stuff. But because he was rich, people forget this guy was loaded. This guy had fat stacks, multi-millionaire. But yeah, so what they did was the Saudis, they put together a bunch of money and they invited a bunch of scientists over to Saudi Arabia. They put them up in 5-star hotels, gave them cash, had them meet with all the leaders. And then after just blowing their minds away with how nice everyone is, they'd sit them down with a Muslim scholar who was quoting passages and saying, isn't this amazing that this is in the Quran? Right. And so they and by the way, they were just massively, I mean, usually they're taking like part of a sentence from a Quran or the Hadith and not giving the entire thing, because if you look at the entire thing, it's completely wrong. But they'll take like one little part of it, and then they'll say, could Muhammad have known this? And most of them said, yeah, either that's not what it means, or it's something that could have been known back then, and so on. So, but what they did was, you got to some people who are like, wow, yeah, that is really amazing. Got all these nice Muslims looking at them. Wow, that is really amazing stuff. They didn't realize that there was going to be clipped and then used as proof. Even Western scientists. So all the scientists who said, come on, this is no evidence, they just ignored that. All the scientists who were nice and said something nice about their religion because they're they've been showered with gifts and so on. They said it's funny, those guys in the Wall Street Journal article called it mutual manipulation. Wow. They said they were giving us free stuff, and all we had to do was say something nice about their religion in exchange for free vacations for us and our families. Wow. And that's, keep in mind, that's Dawa. And Tristan Tate even acknowledged. I mean, this is a guy his brother suddenly converts, but Tristan Tate said he was offered piles of money to convert and stuff. And so it's just like, guys, don't be terribly impressed when you see someone suddenly defending Islam. Sneako.
Oh, yeah. All right, Sparkly, thank you for the super chat. David says, love you all, not in the Zoot sense, and he wants to know how his profile picture is, IP.
It looks hideous. I would never do that. How dare you, sir?
Well, thank you, though, for the super chat, David. If tradition states Rebecca was 133 when she died, approximately 10 years after Isaac, how then was she 3 years old when Isaac was 37 to 40 years old?
You're trying to use logic here. You can't do that with Dawa. Okay? That's not how this works.
Exactly. Thank you for the super chat, Cooper Loam. Thank you. Jack Ray says, considering the other strength stuff related to a Zoot hadith, could the part and the Prophet of Allah began to recite to them be related to pagan verbal magical incantations? What do you guys think? I'm sure there's some kind of witchcraft that Muhammad would have tried to do to get, but I think we're positing the idea here that he actually enjoyed this stuff. That's the theory that we're going with today. So. Or that it was,
even if he didn't enjoy it, he wanted it. It's like to say it in language IP would understand. It's like when Captain America gets the super serum and it's extremely painful and he's screaming, but it turns him into a super soldier, basically. That sort of thing. Yes, I want to be a super soldier. I want to be the strongest, most virile man alive. How am I going to do that? Well, I need these guys for it. And so even if he's not enjoying himself, there's a purpose. There's a purpose to it.
Yeah. So these, verbal magical incantations. Possibly. Thanks for the super chat, though.
He could have been reciting, "You shook me all night long." We don't know what he was reciting.
That's true. TBD says, "Hey guys, just want to say keep up all the good work and may God bless you all." Thank you. May God bless you too, TBD. Thanks for the super chat. Okay, guys, we got 3 more, and then we're gonna get back to the video. Momo was Azut's favorite camel. Yes.
Powerful.
Islam should be forgotten already. Yeah, God bless you all. Okay, well, thank you, John. Thanks for the super chat. And we got another one here. Which is more likely, Muhammad received some of the ideas of Islam from a demon, or he made it up? Now, I've heard both of you guys talk about this actually. Go ahead. Yeah.
This doesn't have to be either or.
Yeah, it's not an either or.
Yeah, you have good reasons to think that there's something demonic going on in all of this, right? I mean, Muhammad's first impression was that these things were demonic. It made him suicidal. He's running from what he encountered in terror. You've got the satanic verses. You've got Muhammad claiming that he's a victim of black magic. And you've got when you read about how Muhammad's receiving revelations and he would collapse on the ground and his face would turn red and he'd be sweating even if it was cold and so on. And it sounds like something out of an Exorcist film. So, and if you actually look, if you were if you looked at everything the Bible says about false prophets and so on, he just fits it perfectly. And you look, he comes along, he agrees with Christians on so many things. I agree with you that God exists. I agree with you on the prophets. I agree with you. Jesus is the word of God. I agree with you he's born of a virgin. I agree with you he performed all these miracles. I agree with you as a Messiah. I agree with you that he's going to return. But don't believe in his death, resurrection, and deity, i.e. the core of the Christian gospel. And we're told false prophets are going to come. That's what they're going to do, corrupt that message. He comes along. He's like the perfect example of it. This seems too demonically brilliant. Islam looks like a brilliant system for destroying and opposing the gospel. That's what it looks like. But you have all this other stuff where Muhammad just, every time he wants something, he gets a revelation saying, yeah, you get what you want. And so looks like his desires massively influence things. And then you look at all the stupid teachings, all the, silly, drinking camel pee and all this stuff. It doesn't look like it's necessarily demonic. Just looks like he believed anything he was told. And you have these, even in the Quran, saying that he was called an ear. And you go to, you look at Ibn Ishaq and you find out why he was called the ear. And it's because they said this guy believes anything he hears. So there, it's not like he's getting stuff from demons. He's hearing what other people are saying. And then he's going off and saying that he's got a revelation based on this. So you can argue, you can argue both ways. Kind of looks like both.
So Muhammad was called the ear, but do you know what Zoot called him?
The rear.
Yeah. So thank you for the super chat. Last one, guys. I'm gonna get to the video. Oh, iPad, did you basically agree, or do you want to add to that at all, or you want to?
No, I think it was mostly just him making things up. There probably is a demonic origin to the beginning of this kind of stuff, but I think if honestly Satan was sort of like, I had this great idea and this stupid guy had to add all this dumb stuff into it. Like, I think that's probably what's going on.
How did 1001 Nights come from a Golden Age? I think the 1001 Nights. I took it as a reference to a Zoot. But I mean, if it's a serious question, yeah, maybe we'll adjust that another time. But thank you for the super chat. One last one, real quick. Someone just came in for this last batch, and they want you to drop us some bars.
No,
not gonna happen. All right.
I don't know. I don't sing rap.
What do you mean? He's got a picture of you busting rhymes right there.
Yeah, come on.
Oh yes. Sorry, I cannot do that on demand. It has to just flow through me.
All right.
Not in the El Zoot sense, just to be clear.
Not in the El Zoot sense, no.
Thank you for the super chat. All right. So guys, now we're gonna oops, wrong screen. There we go. Okay, here we go. Let's go.
One making an argument for that.
Okay, so Daniel's talking about children like 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, and stuff like that. Now Muhammad Hijab wants to know if anyone's making an argument for that based on law, like who's trying to influence policies here. Let's see what he says.
America, because we used to have this in England. We had the PIE, I think it was called, this like a pedophilia something association, which is now linked to the Labour Party, and they were making the case in like
your biggest defenders, isn't it ironic?
Yeah,
that's true.
They were making the case publicly. Is there any equivalent organization doing that in the United States at the moment?
Yeah, they have organizations like NAMBLA, for example.
Hey, pause it.
Yep.
IP. I've never heard anything about NAMBLA except people calling them a bunch of sick pervert pedophiles.
Yeah.
Daniel's like, and see, just in general, people have no problem with this. And when asked for, example, NAMBLA, an organization that's like the National Association of Man, Boy, Love, something like that. And they're universally regarded as a bunch of sick perverts. And these guys, nope, see, that's what they're doing over there, trying to make laws to make all this legal like it would be in Islam.
Just lie, man. He just lies. It's
big liar.
NAMBLA, National Association of Man, Boy, Love, something like that.
No way, boy, love. Yeah. Oh my God.
So Pedarasty, basically Pedarasty, and they're trying to revive the Greek tradition. The very
wasn't just a Greek
well-established Greek Western heritage of Pedarasty.
Was not just Greek.
I don't want to attack too much of this one because I have read some of the Arab poetries as well, and unfortunately,
Oh, you have.
Uh-oh.
Good
There we
point.
go, guys. Here we go.
So Hijab just said he's been reading Arab poetry, which is about grown men having relations with boys.
Oh, yeah.
This is what Hijab reads in his spare time.
We heard it here. You heard it here live, folks.
Oh, let's be.
Yeah, they got it from the Greeks. They got it from the
Yeah, they probably
Greek.
did. Man. That's where they got it from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's blame them.
No,
It wasn't just them.
look, you, guys. Do you see me and IP both shaking our heads? Why? Because unfortunately, we looked into this.
Yep. And now you guys see the connection here. So this is I mean, they go on for a while, and it's actually some interesting stuff. And Mohammed Hijab gives his thoughts as to why he thinks that this made its way into Islamic societies. But we'll probably get into that. I mean, we could always stop anytime, as we've been doing, and you guys want to share your research or anything like that. But yeah.
Yeah, it did. It's not like Islam promoted pederasty, but this brings me to the Zoot thing I was saying earlier. Like, I was so puzzled by this because I'm like, why would someone make this hadith up? Like, why would they make this up? And then I just remembered all that research I happened to come across when I was getting ready to debate Daniel about pederasty and how it wasn't just the Greeks, Daniel. Every ancient culture was doing this as far as we can tell. They believed that pederasty was normal and they engaged in it constantly until Christianity ended it. When this stuff happened in the Islamic society, they, for the most part, they had this principle of do not expose to evil. It'll bring shame to the community. So unless it became a problem, they just let it happen behind closed doors. And yeah, meanwhile, Christians were going around trying to end it, and then Muslims were just letting it continue on. Which again talks about how powerless Islam was to actually create moral progress, even simple moral progress, like ending pederasty should be the first thing you cut. All right, you're doing this. Well, that obviously needs to stop. No, it continued on. Meanwhile, Christianity started in the early church. They coined a new term, according to John Martin's, that meant child corrupters, because they didn't want to use the term that meant like child lover. So they came up with a whole new Greek term that meant child corrupter, and that's what they used to describe pederasty. And so they were very much trying to end this. But yeah, I thought, well, maybe if you're going to invent a story about Muhammad, it could be from this pederastic practice, because they often thought, especially in South Asia, that insemination made boys more manly. Like you're passing on your manly virility onto the youth, which is disgusting and weird, but you could see someone making a hadith going, look at how great Muhammad is, and the reason why he was so great and powerful and had such virility and strength was because, he got it into him. I mean, like that could be that could be one of the ways that someone made up a story like this, or one of the reasons, I should say.
Yeah, this is really crazy stuff. All right.
It might be true. It actually might be true, because I've always wondered why this, especially with Arabic poetry, why these sorry to say, these guys always talking about this. Not always, but especially in the Abbasid period, it did become quite somewhat popular.
Yeah, let me.
He's right.
Hijab seems to be confused here. Let me go ahead and read the passage. I read this in the video, but this was IP. This is the Bruce Rhine. This is the Bruce Rhine paper, which you got that from
Daniel,
didn't you? Yeah, Daniel, because Daniel was using it. Now, what was the issue with Daniel using this and completely misrepresenting it?
He's been using it for years until I pointed out he doesn't know it. He was trying to use it to say that Bruce Rhine is saying that when hebephilia, interaction between adult men and like girls that are like 11 to 14, that happens. There's no harm that's done. It's okay. It's completely normal. And that's not what Bruce Rhine is saying. Yeah, Bruce Rhine is saying that there's no mental disorder in the perpetrator's brain that's causing him to do this. It's a normal human custom. It causes harm to the child involved. It's not good for the child, but he's trying to say, well, we shouldn't just classify it as a mental disorder. And so that's what he was arguing. If Haqiqatjou had read the paper, he would have seen that, but he would also have seen the paper focuses far more on man-boy hebephilia, not on man-girl, because like he just briefly talks about that at the beginning on a couple pages, and then he moves on to the homosexual aspect. And it's like, why is Daniel citing this paper? He would never have cited this if he actually read it.
Yeah, so it's pedophilic disorder is a mental disorder, right? It's not normal for a grown man to be attracted to like a 5-year-old. When someone is attracted like a 5-year-old, we think there's something wrong with this person. This person has a mental problem. So Bruce Ryan's pointing out, well, if you just, I mean, look, this being attracted to young people was quite normal. Again, we're not talking about 5 and 6-year-olds. We're talking about people, adolescents and stuff like that. So he's just pointing out common all over the place, not saying it's not harmful, He's saying it's not the same as having a mental disorder, just because mental disorder is like there's something wrong with you. You're different from normal people. He's saying this was common enough that it seems there are a lot of there are just too many people in this to say that it's a mental disorder and you are not in the category of regular people and stuff. But he comments on this practice in the Muslim world, and he says, mature, immature male homosexual behavior was pervasive.
Wow.
Now keep in mind that's mature, immature. That's between a man and a boy. Keep in mind they're not talking about like 4-year-olds and stuff like that. They're talking about adolescents and so on. But he says mature, immature male homosexual behavior was pervasive in Islamic societies, North Africa, Western Central Asia, from the 8th to the 19th centuries. We're talking over 1,000 years. It's normal. Mature, immature male homosexual attractions were seen as just as normal as heterosexual ones. So the attraction to an adolescent boy was seen as just as normal as attraction to a girl.
Oh, so Mohammed Hijab is like asking the question. He's like, why is it so common in Arabic poetry? And you're saying because it was so common all over the Muslim world. Like that's why.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's why I wound up in the poetry. I've read some other scholars saying that they sort of like the Arabs spread out and they started to adopt, like, it was really common in like the Persian cultures in like South Asia.
Daniel's going to mention that too, the Persian culture. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let me finish the quote here. So main interest was in boys early to mid-teens, peaking at about 14. So main interest was in boys early to mid-teens, peaking at about 14. The appeal vanished with a beard about 16, 17.
Yes.
Adult men were scorned if they were passive partners. So if you were on the receiving end, not on the giving end, you were scorned. Manly behavior was to be active. Partner's gender did not matter. So if you're a manly man, you're the one on the giving end, not on the receiving end. Yeah. You were pitching, not catching. Staggering amounts of love poetry. That's exactly what Hijab said. Staggering amounts of love poetry show an obsession with boyish beauty, seen as comparable to women's. Poets attracted to boys constitute a who's who. In other words, pick a poet, pick an Arab poet. They're all writing about their sexual attraction to boys. Desire for boys, but not behavior or lust, was permissible under Islam. So even under Islam, totally acceptable to have the desire for boys, but not the behavior. The behavior was still frowned upon if it was, if you couldn't go around bragging that you were having sex with a boy. But the attraction to them and praising their beauty and being attracted to them, that was seen as fine. But anyway, but not behavior or lust was permissible under Islam, but behavior was common nevertheless. So even though you couldn't run around bragging about it, it was just it was all going on. And then it says, the tradition eroded in the late 19th century in reaction to Western abhorrence and efforts to modernize.
Wow.
Why did after going on for 1,000 years in the Muslim world of grown men having sex with 12, 13, 14-year-old boys, why did the practice start slowing down? Western nations.
Deus Vult.
Yeah, and that's wow. Man, okay.
Yeah, thank God for Christianity. I mean, like, everywhere I go look at this, so like, yeah, this was common in this world, and then these Christians showed up and ruined it, or these Christians showed up and stopped it, depending on what side you fall on. Like, I don't like be wary of Bruce Ryan, people. He's not like, there's some shady things about even him. Like he spoke at like some like pro like Pedarasty conference, apparently in the Netherlands. He published a study in 1998 that was even condemned by Congress. Yeah, so even him, he's a little, so you gotta be very kind of careful with this kind of stuff. But I mean, like, this is just anything I can find. It's always the Christians ending this. And like, meanwhile, the Muslims were powerless to stop this. One of the sources I found on this was quite interesting. It was by William G. Clarence Smith, is that he's talking about this. And he says, like, yeah, as long as the homosexual behavior did not become flagrant, it did not waste family resources, it was rarely repressed in the Islamic world. It's like they had this policy in the Islamic world that you don't expose this shameful behavior. If it's happening behind closed doors, just ignore it. If it's not wasting resources, if it's not becoming flagrant or a real problem, just ignore it. And that's why you still see like the Bacha Banzi boys happening in places like Afghanistan, because it's a long-standing custom. I'm not saying it comes out of Islam. It comes out of cultures that Islam cannot contain or reform or control, because it allows these practices to go on, because it has within that idea this strong emphasis on honor shame. Okay, we don't want to shame the community. Let's just let this stuff happen behind closed doors. We look good on the outside, should be okay, right? In the Christian society, it's the exact opposite. As you read like O.M. Baki, for example, as well as John Martin's, early Christians were ready to expose this stuff, even if it was happening in their own ranks. They didn't care what shame it brought them. This was evil. It must stop. And this goes back to happening in the early church even.
I just want to point out something you just said right there, because it really, really, really ties into Mohammed Hijab. You've seen that there was this, because it's in the studies, that part of the reason that it continued for so long was they believed it was wrong to expose people's sins.
Yes.
How many times have we heard that from Mohammed Hijab?
Oh yeah, all the time.
All the time. So guys, this is why you expose bad stuff. Otherwise it just keeps going on forever. And you've got Mohammed Hijab here talking about the Arab love poetry and not exposing people's sins and so on. He's exactly the sort of reason this practice continued so frequently until Western nations started compelling Muslim nations to not promote this anymore.
Deus Vult.
Wow. All right, guys, let's continue on.
I would say, sorry to say, at one point it did. Not in all parts of the Muslim world. Definitely, I know the Mughal Empire had that stuff as well. We have.
I mean, I have to be a little bit self-deprecating. Unfortunately, it's associated with Persians.
Oh,
because
yeah,
because
the Persians. I mean, this is where kalam also comes from. Like, this is taking from the Greek falsafa, bringing the philosophy.
So he's talking about the theology in Islam, that they're importing the philosophy from the Greeks, and he thinks that by importing their philosophy, they also imported their perversions. That's what he's suggesting here.
Yeah. Now, real quick, I'm not saying this stuff never happened in Christian ranks. We're not saying that at all. Like, the difference is that we see Christians were actively the ones trying to stop it, and in the Islamic world, they were just trying to hide it. And there's no doubt that Christianity was very crucial for ending these practices.
Exactly.
And kind of elite culture, cosmopolitan culture, where you're reading Greek philosophy and you're also adopting some of these practices. So unfortunately, like, this is something that was completely disgusting to the Arabs and the early Muslims. But then because of the influence of Greek and Greek texts and Greek culture, then Abbasids or Persians, they started adopting.
Where it is happening in the Muslim world.
This guy's an idiot.
Yeah,
lying idiot. It was all over the place, guys. It was in the Americas before the arrival of Europeans. It was in Africa. It was in Europe. It was in the Middle East. It was in Southeast Asia. It was on the islands. Am I correct, IP?
Absolutely.
It's
everywhere.
all over the place. So this guy just Greeks came up with the idea, and then Muslims took it from Greeks. Come on.
No, if you just read Bruce Ryan's paper, he's got that giant chart where he used to, like, it's here, it's here, it's here. And he's so it's a useful paper because he's collected all this research, and you just start going through it and you're like, holy crap, this is everywhere. The Greeks were just like, they were just part of, like, the typical human culture. It's insane. And then Christians show up and go, no more, guys. And Muslims show up and go, just keep it indoors. Like, there's a huge difference going on here.
Huge difference. Yeah.
controversial mentioning any names. I wouldn't want to do that now, but I know it does. I mean, to be fair, I know it does happen somewhere, some places in the Muslim world. Yeah.
Notice what he said, though. He said, I don't want to mention names.
Yeah,
Like,
we
I
all
know
know he's
it's,
talking there.
but
Yeah, we
it's
all
the
know-
same thing. It's the same thing we were just talking about. Like, we don't want to really expose this because it'll make the Muslim community look shameful. What happens when a Catholic priest gets caught? Throw the book at him. I want to expose him as much as possible because this is evil. This is wrong. Meanwhile, in the Muslim, we're like, we don't want to mention names, guys. Remember that guy, Imam Nick?
Yeah.
Imam Nick? Yeah, same thing. He tried to expose it. What happened? He got attacked, viciously attacked. His career was destroyed for trying to expose boys being molested. And he was the one. He should have been put on a pedestal as a hero. They destroyed him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's completely backwards. But we all know he's talking about Afghanistan, most likely, right? But let's see.
These people should be publicly executed, man.
Agreed.
I'll be honest. Where it's
Agreed.
proven this, there should be the ultimate force of the law should be on these people. Like sometimes they're deeply Islamic conservative.
Mohammed Hijab, I agree with what you're saying. Mention names.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
seriously, why did you just say you don't want to mention these names? If you know people doing this and you think they should be public executed, I'll stand there with you on that because this is evil. So expose them.
But he won't. He won't.
I'll be honest. Where it's proven this, there should be the ultimate force of the law should be on these people. Like sometimes they're deeply Islamic conservative societies, and then you've got like you're abusing a boy, and it's open. Everyone knows. Yani, I don't see how that can happen. In some parts of the Muslim world, it's unthinkable, and other parts of the Muslim world is actually not unthinkable, and that is one of the worst things that in those places of the Muslim world, and it's, I would say, minority of places, very much so, needs to be removed, like by force. Like whoever's in charge needs to take like some serious action that show the world what you're doing to people that do this thing.
But what you guys are saying is that that's impossible in an Islamic society. You don't have. It's impossible to do that because nobody's willing to expose each other's sins, right?
Well, it's not impossible. It's just rare. And
within Islam, right? Like you're saying Westerners usually are.
This is what he's saying. Well, this is what Hijab is saying. He's saying it's rare now. Yeah, you can thank Westerners. You can thank Christians for that, Mohammed Hijab. It was normal until the West got its power, and then we started forcing these practices to stop around the world, whether through just direct colonial rule, Western influence, Western pressure, or missionaries working in various regions to end it. You can thank Westerners for that because it was going on in the Islamic society for generations, as if it was just normal to feel this way. And Westerners show up and go, no, you can't even, no, this is wrong. You shouldn't feel this way at all. So stop it. So yeah, I completely agree with Mohammed Hijab here when he says these people should be publicly executed. They should be punished and the leader should do it, but they're not. So why are you not naming names if you know them, Mohammed Hijab? You said you don't want to say names earlier. Why not?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, this is when you call for the hudud, you call for the Sharia to be established. Like that's a part of.
So when he's saying hudud, he's talking about the Islamic punishments.
It's like,
I mean, just think. I mean, how would this even work? So both these guys believe it's okay to have sex with kids. So
exactly.
They'd have a problem. They'd have a problem with, at least according to what they're saying, they would have a problem having sex with boys. But again, the practice was extremely common in the Muslim world for over 1,000 years and still continues in parts of the Muslim world today, but was extremely common for more than 1,000 years. Why? Because you don't expose this stuff.
Here,
but we know for we know for a fact these guys believe that. Don't expose this stuff. So, this should be a death sentence. We should be how's anyone gonna even know it's happening when all you guys do is cover stuff up?
Yep.
This is another weird site where I'm not sure if they're saying that pederasty is okay or not. They don't take a stance as far as I can tell, but they document a lot of history of this. But if you go down here, it'd be hard to actually convict it. So they're talking about this happening under traditional Islam. So here they note the Islamic conquest of Persia transformed the country Okay, they introduced Islam, but then they allowed a lot of the Persian practices of pederasty to continue. And here's an interesting point. So more broadly, sympathy towards this form of love was such that tolerance usually extended to discrete sexual acts as well. Some of the time, the government itself was tacitly condoning them by taxing boy brothels. Conviction for Lavat required that 4 male adult Muslims witness the act, which was nearly impossible, and encouraged the belief that transgressions not publicly observed were a secret between the individual and God. So it's very hard. If you want to apply the Sharia, Daniel, it's going to be hard because you need 4 witnesses, as they pointed out. This is why it was allowed to continue on for so long. It's because they didn't have the appropriate witnesses. And so they just said, well, what's happening behind closed doors? They're not really hurting society at large. Let's just ignore and look the other way, because you have this stupid law and about, oh, you need 4 adult male witnesses. You need 4 cucks to come and, see it all. It's absurd. So this is one of the reasons.
And then these guys who are watching are supposed to be the witnesses in court, right?
Right.
If you're sitting there watching a grown man have sex with a boy, are you the sort of person who's going to be testifying? Yes, I witnessed this. I testify as I was sitting there watching and whacking off to it that yep, it happened.
Now
let's
also
punish the guy.
This is also really a well sourced article, just so people know. Like they track down a lot of sources for this, but this is the problem. I'm not saying Islam encourages pederasty. I'm not saying it even allows it. I'm saying it was powerless to stop these kind of practices due to inherent issues within Islam, whereas Christianity did stop this kind of stuff when it had the power and influence that it needed.
Wow. Okay, guys. There's something I want to share after this, if we get through these clips, but we'll get into that when it comes up. It's quite interesting stuff from the Islamic sources relating to this. So here we go.
Punishment for these kinds of crimes, sexual crimes, and as soon as you take away the hudud, then you find the increase in these types of behaviors.
And
so here's okay. So what Daniel is suggesting is that when you decrease Islam, this behavior gets like promoted. Now Muhammad Hijab is about to give another theory. Do you guys the research you have, does it cover like the psychology behind this and like what might be some causes of it? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I wish Daniel was right. I mean, this is the kind of crap Andrew Tate was saying, that Islam is going to stop degeneracy. And no, because of inherent principles about not exposing shameful behavior, it can lead to a lot of this kind of stuff. Just being allowed in closed doors because you don't want to, as Muhammad Hijab was saying, we don't want to name names. And the story about Imam Nick, a white convert who tried to expose it, and then he gets attacked because he brought shame to the community. It's like you would see more of that kind of stuff happening if Islam got the power, is my honest view. Because again, this is what the research I've been finding comes up with. It's like, for example, I mentioned, what's that guy's name? William G. Clarence Smith. And all the research Bruce Ryan found is that Islam was powerless to stop it. A lot of imams and sheikhs over the years condemn this stuff, but they were not actually exposing it like Christian missionaries were and trying to end it, because they're like, just keep it behind closed doors. You really shouldn't be doing it. God's going to punish you, but we don't really want to bring shame to the community, was the general mentality. Sometimes they did stop it, but those seem to be the exceptions.
I mean, just think about this, because Daniel claims to be this researcher, and you seriously exposed him for completely misrepresenting everything he cites. But you pointed out that this paper by Bruce Ryan, he's been quoting it for years as some sort of defense for Islamic obsession with banging little girls. And you actually read the paper, and it's focused on what people are doing to boys and adolescent boys. But I mean, think if he had actually read the paper, we can't even assume that anymore, because it's basically he either doesn't read stuff and he just makes up stuff, which would fit with him being a liar, or he reads it and deliberately massively misrepresents it, in which case, that makes sense because he's a liar. But if he actually read this paper, what does Bruce Ryan say over and over and over again? And as you pointed out, this seems to be a guy who's kind of defending, hey, this was normal, guys. what does he say over and over and over again as he goes country by country by country by country, or culture by culture by culture? He says, here was the practice, and it's about how it was open season on young boys in these cultures and stuff like this. And then Christian missionaries ended it, or British colonialism put an end to it, or Western nations the influence of Western nations put an end to it. What's he saying? Oh yes, as things turn away from Islam, then they turn to these perversions. Daniel, nothing stopped this stuff until Christianity and Western nations came along. And you're saying Islam is the solution to this stuff. Islam never did anything to stop this stuff.
Exactly. So it's kind of interesting. Muhammad is about to give like the exact opposite reason now. Let's watch this.
This might sound controversial, what I'm going to say, but I do think that when you go too far in the way of like segregation of the sexes, that can happen. I was speaking to one brother. I'm not going to mention where he's from. One second, I don't want to cause a controversy.
Oh, so he's saying it's because of Islam. Because of segregation. Yes. Well, you've got you boys around. So of course that's all we have access to.
Exactly. Exactly. So check this out. He's about to give a personal anecdote here.
And he was bragging that in his village, this is not obviously the UK, right? Just anyone is probably watching and waiting, right? But this is in Asia.
We're all going to go find that village.
And
hey, David, it's in Asia. Do you think he means China, Japan?
Yeah.
South Korea?
Yeah. 98% of the time when these guys say Asia, they mean Pakistan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that in his village, he's never seen a woman in the streets. He's never seen it. And I thought that was pretty, to be honest, I thought that was pretty severe. Yeah, I thought that was pretty severe. He's never seen a woman in the streets ever. He's never seen a woman outside of a house ever. And then I spoke to those brothers, and I was asking them some serious and honest questions. I said, this thing where the boys are being taken and stuff like that, does that actually happen? I want you guys as, first person accounts, tell me the truth. And they said it does happen. And sometimes it can happen openly. Like that.
Wow.
Hey, I'll share a different story. There was a lady, and she lived, met her at a conference. She lived somewhere close to DC, but she ran the place. She was, she's old. So she wasn't worried about guys being, the guys there being attracted to her and stuff like this. She's an old woman who owned a house and was renting it to 5 or 6 Pakistani men who'd moved there from Pakistan and stuff. Different areas, just it's like a area with lots of Pakistanis and stuff. And anyway, she's renting out her house to these guys. But she said that since she would talk to them regularly and stuff, and they would start sharing stuff and so on. And eventually somehow they were all having a discussion, and it got to the topic of one of them was talking about how all these various guys had sex with him when he was a boy.
Whoa.
And she's all shocked, and she noticed none of the other guys thought that there was anything not normal about this. And so she asked them, and she said it was all of them. It was all of them had been repeatedly molested by guys when they were young. And she said, and none of them thought that was in any way abnormal. Like they had no clue. They would even discuss it with their landlord and stuff like that.
That's crazy. It's usually like family members, like uncles, right? I don't know if they give specifics, but that's crazy. Wow.
I'm not one to say this, but some people, you guys got to pray the gay away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Those guys specifically, please pray the gay away.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, that's gonna come up. It's gonna come up. So
they won't actually, sorry to say, have intercourse with, it wouldn't be that open, but everyone knows what's kind of going on, and they accept it. Now, what I'm trying to say is that what's going on here? This is meant to be a deeply conservative Muslim society, and yet you're doing something which is totally against the Quran, totally against the Sunnah, totally against the Ijma', totally against the 4 schools, totally against human decency, something that in Islam actually there should be a capital punishment for. And
But
you're
there
meant
can't
to be
be because you guys cover it up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's but he's right. Just take what we said about the whole honor shame issue and people just wanting to cover it. Combine that with what he said about them never seeing a woman, the constant segregation of the sexes. Yeah, that's another way this could lead to that kind of stuff, that Islam again is powerless to stop this kind of stuff. You combine with what we said about their emphasis on honor and shame, not exposing sinful behavior, letting it happen behind closed doors. Combine that with the segregation of the sexes and constantly trying to keep women away from the men. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Like,
Right.
this is just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it is. Oh boy. Wow.
conservative Muslims, and you're bragging about the fact that you don't have women in the streets, but you have boys in the bed.
Wow.
Wow.
You hear that?
No women in the streets, but boys in the bed. That's could be the motto for Islam for over 1,000 years.
Oh boy.
Something that in Islam actually there should be a capital punishment for, and you're meant to be conservative Muslims.
No
and
women
you're
in the streets, but boys in the sheets.
Yeah.
bragging about the
Oh man. God have mercy.
fact that you don't have women in the streets, but you have boys in the bed. What the hell? What the hell is this? I'd rather have women in the streets than boys in the bed. Do you know what I'm trying to say? What are you talking about? So I think when you go too far in the whole thing of segregation, this and that, whatever, it creates like this. It creates perversion. I think it creates perversion. To be honest with you, bro.
But would you think that it's a causal thing? Because if you look at in the U.S., if we compare the most liberal societies with some of these traditional societies that you're talking about, the more liberal societies are actually far higher in terms of abuse of children and like molestation of children, like diddling kids in the closet.
I think if you go,
you know what?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Daniel kind of makes an interesting point. If you go too far into a radical fundamentalist Islam, children get abused. If you go too far into secularism, children get abused. You know what's the best place to be? Traditional Christian society.
Yes.
It's the perfect middle where everyone is safe and we have good morals, good values. Islam is too far off in one direction. Secularism is too far off in one direction. Christianity is based.
Right. Amen.
too far. If you go too far in either direction, so if you go too far in the liberal direction, it produces pathology and perversion. But ironically, and also kind of like counterintuitively, if you go too far in the segregation, I'm not going to see women in the streets direction as well, that level of suppression also creates perversion. So that I think there's something in the middle. Maybe I'm subscribing too much of like,
but like if you don't see women in the streets, like you have a wife at home, maybe multiple wives, maybe you have like, so how, I don't understand how someone who is older and has a wife, like it's even more disgusting and despicable that he would abuse a child.
I know, as mad as this sounds, and look, I feel like you still need to communicate with women who are not your wife.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a Mohammed Hijab there. Yeah, it's Mohammed Hijab.
Because you have to find your next hotel.
Hotel? Yeah, exactly. Daniel's what is this guy talking about?
I mean, he's right. I mean, here's one of Daniel's
Islamically, yeah.
Well, one of Daniel's dumbest arguments is like, oh, the reason why we need child marriage is because when teenagers hit like 12 and 13, they have urges and they should get married right away so they can focus those urges. No, that's stupid. Because the first thing you do if you've got an urge, you shouldn't give into it. You should learn self-control. You should master that urge or that desire. And that's one of the geniuses, I think, of God, allowing sexual desires to happen early so humans can actually go through a process of learning to master their desires and urges before they actually get married and can experience them. Daniel's stupid world and Daniel's stupid land, no, you have urges, immediately act upon them, get married as a kid immediately, and then you never learn to control your desires. So it's but like, and actually interacting with members of the opposite sex early on, learning how to communicate is also good for your mental health and development. Why would we want to keep boys and girls completely separated and never interact with each other when that's just not the way the real world works? And when you try to make it work like that, society starts to break down or doesn't function as well.
Yeah, and I know David covers these stories all the time because he does, Jihad Watch with Robert Spencer, which he's going to be doing today, guys, by the way. So look out for that. But these stories happen all the time where some guy from like Afghanistan or some, you know, Muslim country. He is in like some Western country, Australia, UK, whatever, and he does something like some sort of molestation, and the legal defense is, oh well, he's out of his culture, like he's never seen women before. And they, a lot of times, they actually excuse it. I mean, David can probably give examples of this, but they actually excuse it a lot of the times. But like, oh yeah, he's not used to seeing women, you know, at the beach, for example, in his culture. So when he saw them, yeah, he doesn't know how to control his urges, and a lot of times they let him off the hook, or it's like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, just so you know, I was looking up. I was trying to look up some statistics on the Pakistan stuff.
Yeah,
because Daniel seems to think, oh, it's so much worse in Western nations. And I saw some statistics, but they say it's thought to be massively underrepresented because almost no one reports it, because they say no one's gonna be sympathetic or care or think you can prove anything, and so people just don't report it. But they said they have millions of street children in Pakistan.
Wow.
And it says, let's see, with little research on the topic available, the prevalence of sexual intercourse among street children is reported to be as high as 88% in Pakistan.
Whoa. God of mercy.
This is the type of societies that Islam creates, and they want to tell us that they can do it better. Just let's everyone in the West adopt Islam. We'll have so much better results, guys. It's a complete and total lie. The worst thing we could do is adopt Islam, and then we end up in a couple generations looking like Afghanistan and Pakistan. Horrible idea.
Wow. Oh yeah, but David, so you have examples of that, right? Where like, you know, someone comes over from Afghanistan and they molest some woman on the beach or something like that.
You can see that pretty much. You can see that pretty much every day, because people always share those examples where they go up to some guy. They keep catching the guys because the guys are trying to meet up with a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old, and they get there, and all of a sudden there's people with a camera in their faces and holding them until police get there. But over and over and over again, they see no problem with it. Like, they don't. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? The girls are these are women according to us, and they're ready for it. So what's wrong? But yeah, and also just over and over again, look how they're dressed. We can't resist this sort of thing,
right? And they're not wearing a hijab, so they want to be abused. You know, that's
Surah 33 verse 59. Yeah,
there you go.
Even if it's a normal interaction, because if you have no schooling on how to do that, if you don't know how to speak to just a normal woman who's selling you a loaf of bread, or someone who's doing this and that and the other, then when you see that woman, you can start to become like a freak. You don't know what to do. You have
this guy's talking about being a freak.
It's weird because he's saying something that's true. If you never learn self-control, because keep in mind, guys, you can have self-control, meaning you control yourself. You can have control imposed from without. That's not self-control. Self-control is where something can be in your face, but you have the control to resist it. If you're from a place where you've never learned self-control because control has been imposed on you from without, meaning women are just kept separate from you. You don't even see them as, according to hijab in some places, you're kept separate. You're never in a situation where you have to learn self-control. And so the insanity of Western governments is we know that lots of Muslim nations are like this. People are not trained to have, men especially are not trained to have any self-control. And then you say, okay, now let's put them around a bunch of British 12-year-old girls, and we'll put them into the same community with all these 12-year-old British girls. And oh, wow, they're gang raping them. Shocker.
Wow. Yeah, you guys pointed this out earlier, but like they have, and rightly so, they have so much outrage about man-boy relations, but they're willing to marry off girls of the same age and younger. Oh, yeah. So it's like what's going on here? Like in their mind, like what is
you gotta understand how hierarchy works in the Islamic world. You have Muslim men at the top, okay, then you have, like, I guess, dhimmi men, then house cats, and then women. Okay, like, really, I mean, it's just like when you have verses in the Quran saying like women are a tilth, you can plow them as you please. You're allowed to strike them if they're disobedient. Meanwhile, there's no verse about a woman striking her husband if he's doing something wrong. You're going to come away with the idea that these are second-class citizens. They don't have as many of the same rights as men have. Meanwhile, in Christianity, again, we saw human rights come out of the Christian tradition. I just uploaded a video how Christianity created human rights. Equality. You go to verses like in Galatians 3, there is neither Jew nor Greek, male nor female. We are all one in Christ. We get to give the Imago Dei. Both man and woman are the image of God. So you get this constantly, this idea that like women are treated as equals by Jesus. They are allowed to deliver the revelation of the resurrection to men. Mary is, of course, given like she is praised among women. She is the queen of heaven. She is the mother of God in the Christian traditions. So women are given far more. And again, historians have noted that Christianity gave women rights they had never had. Constantine, the emperor, he gave women rights they had not had because that the prior pagan emperors had never given. He actually elevated the status of women under his rule. This is pointed out by Peter J. Lightheart in his book Defending Constantine, for example. So like, again, completely contrasting these traditions. And again, I've got research I'm going to be bringing on this in the future.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, when you put it like that, I think that you make a strong case that girls in Islam just don't matter in Islam. So they are outraged when, and rightly so, when it comes to a boy being molested by a man, but they don't have that same outrage when it's a girl because that girl has no value in Islam. All right.
I wouldn't say no. I would just say less.
Well, I mean, they're willing to. They want to see her married off, basically. So
yeah,
no value in that sense. Like in terms of like, they're willing to enforce a death penalty for a boy, but for a girl though, they're just like they're promoting it actively.
No skill, you have no training on how to deal with that. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like going too far in either direction.
Guys need more hotel wives. So
yeah. As I think we basically get the point here. What Mohammed Hijab is saying. There's a few things that I did want to share though. One hadith that in particular I wanted to share is because he's blaming segregation for this, but Muhammad was the one who taught that said when he was coming out of the mosque, men and women were mingled in the road. And he tells them to draw back, for you must not walk in the middle of the road, keep to the sides of the road. Then the women were keeping so close to the wall that their garments were rubbing against it.
But not in the way the Zoot were rubbing up against Muhammad. Just
not that way. Yeah, not that way. But you see, it's like this is the segregation, and he's saying that this type of segregation is going to cause, like what, pedophilia, or what do you call it? What's the technical term for it? Pedarasty. Yeah, whatever.
Pedarasty.
Pedarasty. Yeah, pedarasty. Now, there's something else too. Actually, a couple things. So there's a couple of like online websites where you write in like fatwas. And, they write in like a problem to the sheikh, and he gives a fatwa. So I'm gonna pull one up. I don't know which one it is. I have two of them. I guess we'll cover them both though. But check this out. So this one is talking about a man that's attracted to beardless youth but feels terrible about it, and he quotes Ibn al-Qayyim saying that if a person becomes worthless in the sight of Allah, Allah, afflicts him with the love of beardless youth. So Allah, according to Muslim scholars, when someone's worthless, he makes them basically pedophiles.
Yeah. Hey, this is seriously interesting. You catching this, IP? This guy says, when Allah sees someone and he says, this man is worthless, you know what I'll do? I'll make him go bang kids.
Yeah. What is the so where does this
kids,
from?
What the heck did the kids do, man?
Is this an authoritative scholar?
Yeah, Ibn al-Qayyim. Yeah, this is one of the students of Ibn Taymiyyah. Yeah,
Ibn Taymiyyah. Okay, wow.
There used to be a private chat on. There it is. I'll send you the link in there as well. I did it in a public chat and the private chat. So yeah. So someone is concerned because they know somebody who is a Muslim and he's attracted to beardless youth. And so he thinks that he's one of these worthless people. And so check out the answer from the Sheikh here. So according to Ibn Taymiyyah, he says that if a person passionately falls in love, now notice the context is falling in love with a boy, but keeps chaste and patient and hides his love love of the boy, he will be rewarded for his piety. The hadith reads, whoever falls passionately in love but remains chaste and keep his love secret, then dies, he dies a martyr. Okay, so that's the answer here, that, you know, if you just don't give in to it, then, you know, you fight the urges, you die as a martyr. According to the hadith here, according to Ibn Taymiyyah's interpretation of the hadith. Then there's another thing, not from this one. There's another website now. So that's from Islam Web. This one's from Islam Q&A. Both very popular and both authoritative Muslim websites. And I'll give the link for this one as well. So same topic here. Same topic here. Yeah, Muslim falling in love with beardless youth.
Beardless youths.
And by the way, you know what's funny is that hadith that Muhammad saw Allah, it was Allah was appearing as a beardless youth. So I don't know what that's about, but yeah, he said he saw
Allah appeared as a beardless youth to someone?
To Muhammad, yeah.
So Allah, the one who causes people to like to bang beardless youths, appears as a beardless youth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did he appear as a beardless youth?
That's a good question. It's a good question. Don't
you know you're tempting them?
Yeah,
what is
exactly.
this religion? What is this religion?
Hey, Jai. Remember, Muhammad said that Allah appears to people as what they worship.
Oh yeah. So I guess, okay, sorry. I thought I highlighted this stuff, so I kind of confused myself. Let me refresh the page. Maybe my highlights will come back. But oops, no, we don't want to contribute to your website, Islam Web. So just kind of scrolling down here, and okay, so okay, the scholars forbade looking at beardless youths. Some of them regarded as more haram than looking at women. And Nawawi said, similarly, the scholars forbade a man to look at the face of a beardless youth if he is handsome, whether with or without desire. Okay, so whether it is free of fitna, temptation, or there's a fear thereof. And this is the correct view that was favored by the scholars. And check out the reasoning here, guys. This is really sick. The evidence for this is that a beardless youth is in some ways like a woman. He may be desired as a woman is desired, and his form may be beautiful like that of a woman, and many of them may be more beautiful than many women. So this is just like norm in Islamic scholarship, that they're like, yeah, beardless youth, of course they're attractive. Like this is like built into Islam. Now they're not saying it's right, but this is like something that's so normative that their scholars are having to constantly address it.
Boys, there are many boys are more beautiful than many women.
Yeah. Yeah. This is sick stuff, guys. Really sick stuff.
Yeah, just this is one of the reasons I have a hard time agreeing with Bruce Ryan that pederasty is not a mental disorder, because I can't even fathom how you could have that attraction. Like, I just can't even, like, it can't even get into my brain. Like that's obviously there's something wrong with your brain if you're attracted to a beardless youth. Like there's something wrong with you. Like I don't know what else to say. And like the fact that this was so normal, like throughout ancient cultures and medieval cultures until the rise and dominance of Christianity, just makes me, like just be all the more thankful for Christianity and its values and traditions it has imposed upon us, because like, good Lord, this is evil stuff. And the fact that this was just like considered normal by so many people.
Yeah.
Wow. There's something wrong with us. And it's like, boy, I don't know how God could send his son to die for us when he should have just burned this planet up. Like, honestly, there's got to be something so much about the love of God that he does that when he should have burned this planet up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's sick. And another quote here, he says, Ibn Taymiyyah, that the one who repeatedly looks at a beardless youth and the like, or persists in that, and he's saying, I'm not looking with desire, is lying. Because if he has no need to look, then he's only looking because of the pleasure that he feels in his heart as a result. So guys, again, this is just all over Islamic scholarship. This is like a norm, like you guys are pointing out, and Muslim scholars are constantly addressing this. It's not just in the Arabic poetry, it's the Muslim scholars talking about this. And I mean, I don't know what the exact cause is. Maybe Mohammed Hijab was onto something there with the segregation thing, but it's all over the place.
Yeah, maybe that's the idea behind the bitter truth. Everyone is flipping out about them free mixing and stuff like this. And hey, you got all these girls and guys in the same room. Maybe this is Mohammed Hijab's big brain idea. Hey, let's get all. I mean, we know that they were using these girls to try and hook up with them and stuff like that. If that's what Ali Dawa did, but as far as everyone else, it's hey, let's get Muslim men used to having women in the same room and so on, so that they don't run out and molest boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just real quick in the chat, people are saying like, I don't know what people are getting, but just to be clear, I'm like, God has every right to punish sin. And if he wanted to burn up the earth 2,000 years ago, he would have had that right. It's incredible that he instead chose to save us through his love, which again, it speaks to the amazing goodness of God and the incredible evil of humanity is what I was pointing out.
That's right.
Hey, I'll point out that was actually one of my main arguments when I was still an atheist. Was you have atheists and they use the problem of evil. If God exists, why would there be so much suffering in the world and so on? Like God's supposed to give us this hedonistic paradise if he exists, and not a world where there's actually pain and suffering and so on. In my thinking, it was, if a God that you guys say you believe in existed, he would have wiped us out. He didn't wipe us out. So guess what? Your God doesn't exist. That was my thinking. That a God who is like holy and just and all this and all powerful, he'd wipe us out. He'd wipe us out. He hasn't wiped us out. So I don't believe in any of this stuff.
Wow. So guys, one of the things that we like to end with on the channel here is where you guys can go kind of like see what the Word of God says about these kind of topics. So anything you guys want to share before we get into some passages from the Bible, and then we'll dive into the last bunch of super chats. And
I just remind people of Ezekiel 16, where God has talked about his with his love for Jerusalem as like a metaphor between a man and a wife. And the way it's described in Ezekiel is that it says that like lovemaking didn't even occur until puberty was complete. So if there's a standard set in scripture, it's that God says lovemaking should not occur until after puberty is finished. When is puberty finished for girls? Between the ages of 15, 17. So it makes perfect sense we grant the age of adulthood at 18, because that would be the following year legally where puberty we know is complete. And that would be the safest thing to do, the most logical thing to do. So it seems as though the standard in scripture is that no sex should occur until puberty is completely finished.
Yeah, I'll just point out. So if you're talking about closing out and so on, just wanted to point out we've done our research on the story of the men of Zoot, and it's possibly connected to some other things. Not the way the Zoot were connected to Muhammad, but actually some interesting things that ties everything together. And me and IP just posted videos on this. I posted a video on the belief, and then IP posted a video on what ended this practice. But we pointed out that this grown men having sex with adolescent boys and sometimes younger and so on was all over the place in the ancient world. Again, Americas, Africa, Europe, Middle East, Asia, all over the place. China, India, various islands and so on, island nations and so on. So all over the place. Some of these places had a particularly weird view that men were actually, with their insemination, were actually injecting their manliness and strength and virility into boys, and that this was going to help the boys become stronger and more manly and more virile. And so it was encouraged. You had to inject as much of your manliness into these boys as possible. Disgusting practice and so on. But cultures were colliding in the 7th century. Muhammad's a caravan trader, and they called him an ear. So possible that he heard about this, but it would explain the situation with the men of Zoot, because these were men who were famous for their sexual vitality and virility, and it was said of them that their penises are never flaccid, meaning these guys are always ready to go on the drop of a dime. And so if you had this belief that men could inject their manliness and virility into you, and that this would make you more manly and virile, you have a possible explanation for the story that Muhammad wants to be the most virile man on the planet. And so he gathers together a bunch of men of Zoot and meets with them in the desert and has them inject all their manliness and virility into him. And this is why Abdullah has to stay behind the Diddy line, why Muhammad says, if you cross this line, you're finished. You'll be dead. Why? You can't handle all this virility. You can't handle it all. It'll destroy you. It'll wreck you. But Muhammad thought he could, and so he returns and he's in pain. But later on, he could brag that he had the strength of 30 men. And so it kind of gives a new twist on the meaning of that passage where Muhammad's followers would say he had the strength of 30 men. Could actually be that Muhammad believed he had the strength of 30 men because 30 men injected their strength and manliness into him. Pretty creepy stuff. But as IP is saying, thank God for the spread of Christianity.
Wow. and David, you were saying you've been saying this for a while now. You would give Muslims a warning: stop lying about the Bible, and that came with consequences, right? If they didn't stop.
Yeah, they have all this stuff, and the stuff sounds really creepy, and it's a weird situation. We're trained to give the benefit of the doubt and to give the most charitable interpretation of everything they bring up. And so they bring, we read a story. It's, well, maybe it means this thing that's not as bad. And maybe it doesn't mean what it sounds like, because what it sounds like is really, really bad. But maybe it means this other thing, and we'll go with that because that's nicer. Whereas they don't just go with the worst possible interpretation if they're talking about our stuff. They just completely lie and make things up. And then spread the lies around, and then completely spread lies around, and so on. So, yeah, what I've been saying is, if you guys are just going to lie, you claim to respect prophets and stuff, but you'll just lie instantly on the drop of a dime about Isaac, about Abraham, about Moses, about Jesus, and so on. Everyone, you just keep doing this. I'm not going to tell people to lie in return. That would be evil. You guys are comfortable being complete liars, and that's prized and valued in your religion, not in ours. But I will encourage people to quote these passages and not give the benefit of the doubt, not give a charitable interpretation. Just go with what it sounds like it's saying, even if it sounds like it's something messed up. And I pointed out, we can do that. We can quote a bunch of these really messed up teachings in Islam and not give you the benefit of the doubt and just say what they sound like. And people are going to be horrified, and people are going to start quoting this, and you are not going to like what this does to you. They did not heed my advice, and so guess what? These guys are going to be hearing about Zoot for the rest of their lives.
Nice. And
that's not it, because there's a lot more stuff in the Muslim sources that we're about to popularize. All thanks to people like Hijab and Daniel Haqiqatjou. We can lie about Isaac. No one's going to do anything in response. How's that working out for you, bud?
All right. Yeah. I'm looking forward to see what's coming next, because you said you have some more content on, what happened to Muhammad and his, upbringing that could possibly give some sort of a pathology here, right? Like, you're kind of building a case for that, I think. All right. So, hey, IP, if you need to drop out at all, feel free.
I'm good for a little bit.
Okay, cool. And same for David, of course. But I know you're cool with doing really long streams. So we're gonna just read a couple of passages here, and this is one that came to mind like immediately when I first hearing them talk about this topic. In Matthew chapter 18, verses 6-7, the Lord Jesus said, "But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck, and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of offenses, for offenses must come, but woe to that man by whom the offense comes." So here you can see the love that the Lord Jesus has for children and not wanting them to be abused and causing them pain and hurt, and basically everything that we just heard described from Islamic history, Islamic sources. And so you can kind of see where Christians would get this idea from, that children are sacred, they're not to be abused. Where would they get this idea from? And this is one of the passages that you could draw this idea from. Whereas in Islam, you have this, like we've been pointing out, you have this culture of just like keeping everything quiet, hush hush, don't expose anybody. But no, the Lord says, hey, those people who cause these little ones to sin, that, you know, basically it'd be better off if they were dead. Didn't even exist. So there's going to be severe judgment for them. And then another passage that I don't know if you guys want to comment on that at all before we go to the next one. Okay. So another passage was in Romans chapter 1. I encourage everyone to just go through Romans chapter 1, 18 to 32. But one passage one verse I really wanted to focus in on. And I really recommend Robert Gagnon's work on anything related to the alphabet community in the Bible. He's the go-to scholar on all of that research. But look at this here. For this reason, God also gave them to vile passions. For even their woman exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Likewise, also men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn in their lust for one another. Men with men committing what is shameful, and receiving in themselves the penalty of their error, which was due. Now, check this out. Notice how in Islam teaches that the punishment for being handed over is, well, this is not in the Bible here. This is not talking about, you know, beardless youth like in Islam that was talking about beardless youth. But they were saying the punishment that Allah gives is Allah finds you worthless, and so He's going to make you attracted to children, basically, or to beardless youth. But here, people are being given up. Why? Because they did those things. So that's not a punishment that God's putting on top of people. That's something that people willingly do, and they do that, you know, by their own free will. And then, you know, that's what, you know, if they don't repent, then they're given up for that. But I just want to show like it's the exact opposite. Whereas in Islam, it's like the punishment is, you know, you're going to live this lifestyle, you're going to have these desires. But in the Bible, it says no. The true God, He punishes those people for doing those things. That's not the punishment, right? So
Allah constantly makes me think it's like if the Joker became omnipotent. Just the amount of stuff he does, it's so weird. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
He does. I pointed out before, he sounds more like Loki, like from Norse mythology, like mischief, god of mischief, and so on, and pranking and stuff like that.
Yeah. Hey, there was a video that we talked about, David, a video idea about was it Descartes' demon and Allah? How like how do I know that it's not like this demon control? Yeah, remember? Yeah. So
no, I don't remember, but it sounds correct. It sounds correct.
So, well, it's something we talked about, and so it ties in that same idea where like they're like this being that's like called, like, you know, deceiving you. Well, that's actually Allah, right? You know, so yeah, he's like the exact opposite of the truth. So we got a bunch of super chats here, so we'll just go through these. Jose says, God bless you all. I don't know if you guys have gone over Sheikh Uthman's Bible with all his annotations, but if not, will you at all? I didn't even know it was available. I've seen him use it with, like, you know, people at Balboa Park, but I don't ever.
What did he put out his own Bible or something like that?
No, it's like, you know, like
no, I know I know he has a Bible, but if you're talking about going over his Bible, we would have to have access to his Bible. So
no, I think he did. I think he made it available somehow. I'm not sure how, but we don't have any plans for that, but maybe in the future.
I mean, should be interesting, especially if he's criticizing the scriptures that his God and his prophet affirm as the inspired, preserved, authoritative word of Allah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That reminds me of a stream idea. So I was watching Yasser Qadi today talking about it was the interview that he mentioned you, David, when he talked about like these Islamophobes, and he mentioned you, honorary mention from him, and he was talking about how the academy had, you know, they criticized the Bible, then they started criticizing the Quran, and he's saying how it's like it's right when it's criticizing the Bible, but not right when it's criticizing the Quran with those same methodologies. And I thought that would be a great way to introduce Yasser Qadi to the Islamic dilemma, because he seems to think that the academy has proven that, you know, there have been interpolations and corruptions in the Bible, but that would debunk Islam, and that would be a way to introduce him to the Islamic dilemma. So David again says Momo might be the ear, but Mike has the best bunny ears. All right, you got a fan here.
Powerful stuff. Yeah. Yes.
Emmanuel says, hey guys, some jizya. Yeah, we mentioned YouTube is the one that takes the jizya. They take 30%, so the YouTube takes
Yeah.
30% jizya. But thank you for all the super chats, guys. God bless you. God bless you all, guys. Also, if I may, I just posted something about the life of Momo. Check it out. I appreciate all the feedback, all for the glory of Christ. Where did you post that? If you want to, maybe in the comment section after this video is uploaded, we can check out your channel or something like that. But thank you for that. Hello, guys. I'm Sudanese, and yep, having relations with little boys is normal in Islam. Hey, thank you for the.
I hear this all the time from people outside of the West. Like when I bring this stuff up and I'm disgusted by it, and like people like this fellow here, yeah, this just happens in our culture. Yeah, it's and the Muslims have been engaging in it for thousands of years. Like we don't know what to do. Like I'm like, like my mind is like blown. Like how? Why? Like I'm so happy I was born where I was with the culture I have. It's like, but yeah, constantly I'm getting messages and comments from people like this guy who live in like a different area of the world, and they're like, yep, you're absolutely right. It's happening. Yep, I've seen it. We this especially happening with the Muslims.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the I went over to Emmanuel's channel, but yeah, he posted a video earlier today titled "The Life of Muhammad: Life Lessons for Muslims." Yeah, right. Muhammad definitely had some life lessons for Muslims.
Oh yeah,
all of them creepy.
All of them creepy. Yeah. All right. Thank you for the super chats, David. Why do you say that the timing of gaining access to the Muslim? Wait. Why do you say that the timing of gaining access to the Muslim sources divine will?
Well, it's not like I'm quoting the Bible and it says, and you now have access to the Muslim sources because Allah wills it and something like that, or God wills it or something. It's just some interesting coincidence here. It's if you go back to 2002, 2003, 2004, all the way up to like 2008, 2009, and so on. You looked at the demographics and so on, and it was pointed out, hey, just based on birth rates, Islam is about to win, and it's inevitable. And here's the year that we estimate France will become an Islamic country. Here's when we estimate that the UK will become an Islamic country. Here's when we estimate when Germany will become an Islamic country. And it's just straightforward math. In other words, they're just looking at the birth rates, and they're saying if you have a much larger population, but a smaller population has birth rates 3 times the as high as yours, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. And so everyone is, we're all doomed just because of the birth rates and so on. But here we are, and we've seen tons of this. We've seen, hey, Islam is what is it, like 2050, 2060 or something like that gonna be, just based on birth rates, the dominant religion in the world and so on. And right at the same time we're told all of that, that's also the same time that we suddenly get open access to all the Muslim sources. So for 14 centuries, like even if you go back to earlier in the 20th century, you could get like you could get a crap translation of the Quran here or there or something like that. You didn't have open access to all the Muslim sources, which allowed Muslim preachers to lie. And that's how they spread Islam wherever they went. They would lie. If you go back to the 1960s, when Islam was spreading in the African-American community, and you had Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X and so on preaching, when they were saying Islam is the religion that treats all people equally and ends slavery, it was completely made up. How would anyone know how to respond to that? How could anyone just quote the Hadith and say, what are you talking about? Muhammad bought, owned, sold, and traded black African slaves. How are you making this up, right? No one had access to that stuff. So think about it. For 14 centuries, really difficult to expose Islamic teachings, like really, really difficult. Now, all of a sudden, it's the easiest thing in the world. We got open access to their sources. For 14 centuries, Muslim leaders could keep their people insulated, just completely insulated from ever hearing criticisms of Muhammad. So they could lie to their own people all they wanted, and no one was in a position to show these people the truth and lead them out of Islam. All of a sudden, right now, we have open access to any Muslim on the planet who has an internet connection and so on. So you just look, and right before Islam takes over the world, suddenly we're handed everything we could possibly need to expose all the lies and not let it take over the world. And I look at that and I don't know, just seems like providence to me. It seems like God is saying, I'm delivering this to you. I'm delivering this into your hands. If you guys want, here's everything you need to completely stop yourselves from being violently subjugated without shedding a drop of blood. Here it is. It doesn't mean we're going to do it, but it looks like we're offered that opportunity.
And the Muslims are sort of pivoting to this idea. You've seen Daniel do some of it, but it's like, oh, Islam is so good for humanity. It's like the best system ever. And I'm going to destroy that. I'm going to absolutely destroy that in various videos. Like the sociological research is now starting to distinguish between like Islam and Christianity. And again, it always puts Christianity as far better in results and showing negative results coming from Islam in a lot of ways. I've got so much research. I've got so many more things I need to read. But there's a lot I've found so far, and it's all looking really bad for Islam and how it affects humanity. Great.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that because we hear that a lot.
Oh, yeah. I got stuff. Don't you worry.
In addition to what David said, I remember listening to Father Zachariah Botros before. He was saying that the worst things the Muslims did he's the Coptic priest, and he said the worst thing that they did to his community was they forced him to learn Arabic, and he said that was their worst mistake. And so the idea there is that now we have access to all your sources, and so now the Islamic sources are becoming so widespread, so available in so many different languages. You can just search things up, you can look things up, and you have access to Muslims, like David was saying, like never before. And so it's really, once you get access to the sources, it's like it's game over, and that's
And guys, just think about it. This is all brand new. You go back to 2005, no one was criticized. There was a handful of us criticizing Islam. Like you could count on one hand the number of people who were like vocally criticizing Islam publicly and so on. And so all this is new. You're talking about just 20 years ago, it was just starting. You had like some websites responding to Islam and so on. And here we are 20 years later, everyone's blasting away to Islam. Everyone's learning how to respond to this stuff. We've got the Islamic dilemma all over the place and so on. And again, this is totally new. And what happened in that time? The apostasy rate of young Muslims went from around 0% to 26% during that time. It was all brand new. This is within our lifetimes that this all just started. And that's why they're screaming. That's why they're screaming and whining about the avalanche of apostasy. They know what's coming.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's happening. Giovanni, thank you for the super chat. By the way, J Pendragon. Is that right? Pendragon. Yeah. Giovanni says, have you guys watched that documentary on Child Boy? No. CP.
Listen, I can barely read about this stuff.
That's kid porn.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I thought. I'm thinking about. Oh, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, don't abbreviate things CP because that normally refers to Christian prison.
Yeah, an exploitation that goes on in the Middle East where they're literally selling. Okay, I see. I see.
Yeah, I can barely read about this stuff. I don't want to watch that. It will just depress me.
Yeah, I bet Daniel Haqiqatjou watched it like 90 times.
Yeah. Wasn't there a movie recently where this like FBI agent was like he gave like a story about how he busted like a bunch of human trafficking things, and Jordan Peterson interviewed. There was a big movie, and Jordan Peterson interviewed the guy who he did the acting like for that guy, and he actually said he. Well, actually, I shouldn't repeat that stuff, but yeah, it was just really disgusting stuff. Yeah, really, really disgusting stuff, and there's a lot being done to stop that, but no, I'm not familiar with that particular documentary. But thank you for the super chat, Giovanni. Gifted one. Oh, thank you for the gifted membership. Thank you so much, guys, for the gifted membership. Islam is a perfect storm and a dysfunctional social imperatives.
Oh, you don't know the half of it. The stuff listen, I'm just let me the plan is in motion. Let me play it out, but you don't know the half of it. There's so much more.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to it. All right. So where was I on this? I got some, how they just get starred automatically. How do I go back to did I don't hope I didn't skip anyone's super chat. Are there early marriages for prepubescent boys?
If you want to put my screen up real fast, this is actually in Bruce Ryan's paper. It's not like real marriages, but in Albania. So it says highly romanticized mature to immature homosexuality was still found in the latter half of the 20th century, owing its isolation from the outside world. It had been institutionalized during the Ottoman rule. There it is again, under Muslim rule. 19th and early 20th century visitors confirmed that younger men frequently cultivated passionate I don't want to read that. But the Muslim Albanian custom of boy brides also spread to Albanian Christians. So here you have Muslims coming in with these boy bride practices, and they're like, oh, Christian, and they're trying to like entice them and bringing them into it. Meanwhile, Christians doing the exact opposite. They're trying to destroy this. You also have this. This is of the Sawans of Libya, Muslims as well. Prominent men lent each other their sons. Yeah. Hard to even fathom. And love affairs, jealousies over boys were common. This one scholar said they will kill for a boy, never for a woman. So,
wow,
yeah, this is really disgusting stuff that was happening. And wow,
I don't know if that's what that question was actually about. That question might have been about, hey, since they're okay with marrying prepubescent girls, were they also okay with prepubescent boys being married? Like not even necessarily to grown people, but to other people.
Rarely happens. It's typically older men want younger girls because that's what they're after. And yeah, it rarely is what I've seen when I did all my research on child marriage. It is a problem in some cultures, but 90% of the time I'd say it's going to be girls, probably over 90.
Okay. Someone reminded me of the name of the movie, The Sound of Freedom. Yeah, that's that
movie. Yeah, I've not watched it. I just, man, I was that. I don't want to be depressed.
Yeah, I get you. I understand. Thank you for the super chat. Love so Brad. Thomas says, John, you see, love your work. You are both doing amazing. Keep going strong and God bless. Hey, thank you so much. God bless you too. Thanks you for the super chat. Loves of Brad again. Are there early cultures that abhor unseen crimes?
You always had cultures that abhorred that kind of stuff. What they did is another story. So like you go back to ancient Babylon when I've read scholars like John Botero, Carl what is his name? Carl Vandertorn, and others as well. It's like their idea of sin was vastly different than ours. It was very much like honor and shame. If something brings shame to the community, it's a sin. If it gives honor, it's good. So in like ancient Babylon, if a prostitute, like let's say a 15-year-old prostitute left the brothel to try to find a better life for herself, they would have considered that more of a sin. She's breaking the order of society. That's where she's assigned. She should just accept her lot in life. And of course, the exact opposite comes out of the Judeo-Christian culture. John Botero says this might be one of the greatest revolutions. Jean Botero, he's a French scholar. He says it was Moses gave us one of the greatest revolutions where sin now becomes something internal. It's between you and God, and that needs to be condemned on that. Because in the ancient cultures, it was very much more about what was hurting the community at large, what was public, these kinds of things. I'm not saying they didn't have a sense of guilt. I'm not saying, but it was just more of a focus on honor and shame in public, not so much private. And then that starts to change with the Torah, and then through the prophets as well. You can see some of that. I talk a little bit about it in my video, how Christianity created human rights. It just came out last month.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, IP. All right. So, and thank you for the super chats. This is a great question. Hi, how does someone accept Christ? By looking at him as a moral example, just acting out of curiosity. Okay, well, we can go right to the Word of God. But yeah, go ahead, Ivy.
If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe that God raised him from the dead, then you shall be saved. It's in Romans, for example. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Exactly. Our minds are on the same thing. That if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. So that's what you do. All right. Thank you for the super chat as well. Let me get the screen back here. Guys, only a couple more super chats. Sorry for keeping you guys.
Oh, you're good. My jaw is just feeling weird. I don't know what the up with that, but yeah.
All right. Hope you feel better. Okay. Don't forget, Othman, aka Ketchup Boy, is a top contender for the best lying sheikh. My boy speaks from both sides of his mouth. Yeah. There's a upcoming debate on some time in the future on who is more evil, whether it's Sheikh Uthman or Mohammed Hijab, and it's look out for that. Look out for that. Jose, thanks for the super chat, by the way. I don't know how to pronounce your name though, but Vaming, yeah. And Jose says he posted on a channel a year ago. Okay, so I guess he posted his Bible on his channel a year ago. All right. Thanks, Jose, and thanks for the super chat. Giovanni says it's called Dancing Boys of Afghanistan. Please watch it. It needs to be talked about. It's ridiculously normalized there. As a Christian, I asked you. Yeah, I mean, we're familiar with the situation, but he's saying that there's a documentary. If you guys are interested to watch that. But
I'm not surprised. Yeah,
you guys seem pretty informed on what's going on there. So
yeah, it is what it is. I mean, like, it needs to be stopped.
Yeah. And then Giovanni says, save the boys. Yes, that's right. All right, guys. So those are all the super chats. Any kind of final words, closing words you guys have? Anything that you want to say?
Just a message for all the Muslims that are obsessed with boys. Give your life to Jesus. Stop thinking about penis and pray the gay away.
And I'll just say, for 14 centuries, basically, Islam was on the attack, not just with swords and so on, but constantly attacking. That's built into Islam. Attack everyone else. You're all wrong and so on. And they never learned how to defend their claims. And all of a sudden, right now, Muslims are feeling completely surrounded. Dare I say, like Muhammad on the night of Zoot. Not used to this weird feeling of just, people riding you guys with this stuff, but get used to it because it's a new world.
I got
some stuff new world.
Coming.
It's a brave new world. And if you guys are worried about all Zoot stories and stuff like that, you have no idea. Look at your guys scrambling in panic mode over the Islamic dilemma, and we've got so much more on the Islamic dilemma. It's gonna scramble your brains.
And we got more Islamic dilemmas coming.
Islamic dilemmas, and that's just this year. Before the end of this year, it is going to be way, way worse for you. And next year, we're going to be on to further projects and so on. So if you think things suck for Islam right now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
It's only going to get worse.
We'd also like to thank Mohammed Hijab for helping us make the worst year for Dawa ever. He's been a real team player this year in helping us destroy Islam. We appreciate that.
It's like all the Dawa guys are like, hey, the Christians are saying that this is going to be the worst year for Dawa ever. Let's work together and prove them right.
Yeah.
Like if that was what they actually said, they could have not done anything more perfectly.
No, they're doing great.
It's really funny how that it's working out just like that, actually. All right, guys. Look out for David's live stream tonight with Robert Spencer, Jihad Watch, and IP. What have you got going on? You just had a stream last night with the Old Testament scholar. Really interesting. So you have anything going on soon?
Dr. Joshua Sijuwati wants to do a live call-in show tomorrow, debate Muslims.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah, he wants to do that tomorrow. So yeah, him and I will be on to do that. Hopefully it goes well. I'm going to try to keep things from getting wild out of hand. I might have to mute someone if they start acting up, but I mean, I don't want things to get too crazy.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Okay. And is he just taking any questions or philosophical stuff, or I got tongue tied there? Just philosophical stuff, or is he taking like kind of any?
I'll talk to him before we want to pick a specific topic, but we'll see.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
you guys might get some Dawa guys to show up. Then they like to talk to him. So.
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
Cool. All right, guys. So look out for those things, and everybody, thanks for joining the stream today. God bless you all, and Jesus is Lord.